Fine. What a week. Week 6 of the NFL was everything and more. As we approach a trade deadline, as we approach a crucial month of October where we know who's a good team, who's a bad team, who's mids, who needs help, and all of that. Let's review it with the productive NFL crew. We have Alex Ranelio here. What's up, Alex?
What's up, Matt? Happy to be back. Hope you had a great weekend of football.
You definitely, you know it, and I definitely will say that. Desmond Price is back from last week off of some incredible upset predictions. Sup, Desmond?
2 for 2 last week. We're gonna find out about this week, though.
All right, and now for the first time in a long time, it's great to have him back, Kevin Schaefer. What's going on, Kevin? Great to see you again.
Happy to be back this year. First appearance this year for the football pod, but I'm happy to be back.
Oh, we're happy to have you. Lots to celebrate, lots to critique, and lots to bust balls and make fun of. So I'm just going to go with some bias to start it off with one of two New York teams to rock and roll. The New York Giants are 5-1 off of their fifth win. Daniel Jones has his fourth quarter come from behind win this season. Giants were down 20-10 at one point, and they take over, win 24-20 over the Baltimore Ravens, who have a third crucial defeat. Saquon goes in. The defense shuts down Lamar Jackson, especially in the second half, forcing 2 turnovers against that offense. Kayvon Thibodeau is looking legit as a first-round pick. And even though major injuries have influenced what the Ravens have been going with, and it's been a hard time finishing games with Baltimore, the Giants, no matter if you think they're a fluky 5-1 team or a 5-1 team, or you think they are a legitimate one, all in all, they are 5-1 under the stellar coaching under Brian Daboll. Wink Martindale seems to be unlocking something. And with a roster with, to be honest, mediocre players, they're still getting wins. So first to comment on that, gentlemen, how do we feel about this Giants team out of week 6? Do you think they are a fluky 5-1 team, or do you think they have legitimate potential? I'll throw it out there.
Well, I figured I'll go last because I'm not the New York guy here. So I'll let the New York people speak first.
Well,
Kev, you want to pick it up?
Yeah, I'll take this one. I think the one word to describe the Giants this year so far is culture. That is the best way to turn a franchise around, is to turn the culture around. Brian Daboll comes from winning culture in Buffalo. You know, he's been around a lot of winning teams, a lot of winning quarterbacks. And he comes in, takes Daniel Jones, who, to be honest, has not looked great his career so far. And he goes out there and takes a team that, you know, is full of, as you said, mediocre players, and brings in a winning culture. And I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, the players love him. And when you get your players to love you and they buy in, you're going to win games. I mean, they haven't had the hardest strength of schedule so far this year. So I think there's a couple wins that they got, you know, that you'd expect a good team to win. And then, you know, beating the Ravens this week, huge. Beating the Packers last week, absolutely huge. I mean, they do also have a very easy schedule coming up. So I think this is the team that if the culture stays and they can get production out of guys like Kadarius Toney, maybe even Kenny Golladay, if they can find a way to get him on the field, you know, if they can get production out of those guys, this can be a really good team.
Definitely, Spake, definitely. And, you know, highlighting that, the weapons. It is amazing how you have people like Danny Bellinger, Waldell Robinson, Marcus Johnson as the main weapons to get these yardage for the Giants. And as Daniel Jones isn't a walk year, he's trying to prove that he is at least worthy of an extension one way or the other. But I think this really just shows that Daboll wants it his way with a mixture of both Dave Gettleman guys and his own. And I think that speaks volumes, especially like you said. And also, got to give credit with Saquon Barkley trying to prove his legitimacy. I mean, honestly, he was playing well. I thought at this point of the season, it would be appropriate to trade him. But now that you are top of your division, just a game behind Philly, No reason to trade him just yet. And it's fair to say that they definitely had the schedule to their advantage. But again, win's a win, especially in a league where it's so hard to come by.
Well, I think when they play Philly, that's the real litmus test for them. I don't expect them to go into Philadelphia and win, but if they can keep it close, it's a close game, they look competitive against Philadelphia, they're going to start to look like a legitimate contender here. I mean, I don't know about a Super Bowl year one for Dable, but I mean, a legitimate playoff team, if they can keep it close with Philadelphia in Philly.
That's all we ask for. That just competitive games. And, it's been a long time until then. And we don't play Philly until December 11th. So we still got about 5 weeks to go. And we just hope you just stack the wins by then and, make that a really exciting game. How about you from afar, Desmond, with your Philly team? And of course, we're going to highlight them very soon in the agenda. But are you
I'll speak on the Giants real quick.
Are you threatened at all by the Giants?
I'm never threatened by the Giants. I mean, the Giants never feel threatening to the Eagles. I've always thought that this division is a division that the teams all know each other so well. I mean, I feel like it's unlike some of the other divisions in the NFL. The rivalries are real in the NFC East. I feel like the AFC West is pretty similar, and the NFC West might be the only, like, maybe AFC North. Okay, so there's like half. Now that I'm actually speaking about it out loud, but Giants will put up a good game no matter what their record is. They always do. I mean, the Giants have beaten the Eagles when the Eagles were having Super Bowl type years and they were down in the dirt. So, I mean, it'll be a good game no matter what. But when I look at the Giants, I really like the defense going on here. I mean, people keep talking about like Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, but I like what I'm seeing on the defensive side. The defensive line looks great.
Yes.
They're really getting after the quarterback. And offenses around the league has been struggling this year. This has been a defense heavy year around the NFL. And I mean, if you have a good defense, you're gonna be able to compete any week, every week, especially if you can rush the passer. Rushing the passer in this league is the crown jewel of any defense. You got to be able to do that. I'm looking at, you're skipping ahead to the Eagles here, like that's their litmus test. I don't think so. I think the next 5 games all provide decent challenges for them. I think Jacksonville's a legit team, even though that their record kind of seems a little otherwise. I think they're going to have some problems going down there against a Doug Peterson-led team who knows the Giants really well next week. The week after that, going out to Seattle, that's always a tough place to play. And Seattle has a good offense, so that defense will be tested out there. Houston has a good defense. So, I mean, we'll see how good Daniel Jones can hold up against them. And the Lions and the Cowboys, they both provide different challenges too. You have to go to Dallas and play Dallas, but I'm sure Dak will be back and healthy by then. So, I mean, I think by the time you get to that Eagles game, we'll know if you're for real or not before you even play the Eagles. So I think the next 5 weeks are the real kind of like test for the Giants. Because if you can come out of the next 6 games before this Eagles game and you're 8-4, you're going to the playoffs. That's how I feel about it.
Competitive games in December.
Yeah, I think there's plenty to build on with the run game and the defense being sturdy. I think, like Desmond's just alluded to, it's really just about consistency with this team, because there's a lot of games that they can be tested by, but they can also are very winnable games the next 5 or 6 weeks. So if you come out of it 8-4 and you feel hot and stuff, it doesn't really matter who you've played per se, as long as you've had a few challenges here and there, and tests to kind of come back from. And as long as you're building on some of the things you can lean on, which is like defense and a run game, to make Daniel Jones' life a lot easier, then it doesn't really matter. You're a real team at that point.
I mean, we've seen a lot of teams win Super Bowls with defense in the run game. I mean, we watched Denver when Peyton Manning could barely throw a 10-yard out route win a championship on defense in the run game. I mean, that last season that he played in, we've seen so many times where mediocre quarterbacks, win a Super Bowl. So, I mean, the Giants can get to the playoffs with this formula. The question is, can they keep it up? Can they do it over the course of the next 11 weeks?
Well, we definitely hope that's the case. And especially that pass rush with Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence, and returning Leonard Williams has been huge. And when you could contain Lamar Jackson, and reckon an aging Aaron Rodgers, but you're going to win. And that's what it came down in the final drive, and there's lots to be excited about. And I guess the last thing on this, on the other side, Baltimore, like I said, they had their third crushing loss of the season, had so much momentum after the first 3 weeks. And now they are back to the problems they had a year ago, major injuries to major problems. Do you hit the panic button if you're in Baltimore?
I would, because you're getting away from your winning formula with Lamar Jackson and a heavy run game. You're not able to hold the leads that you used to get out to at the beginning of games. And truthfully, I think this team has an identity crisis ahead of that contract. So I think that I think they have a lot to worry about right now.
I think it depends on what your expectations are, because the Baltimore Ravens don't have a championship defense. So if you're telling yourself that you're hoping that the Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl, well, then I guess you're hitting the panic button. But if you're being a little more realistic, this Ravens team, they're not going to be able to go to even the AFC Championship game, as far as I'm concerned, because to get there, you would have to beat either the Chiefs or the Bills, most likely. And this is not a Ravens team who can beat the Chiefs or the Bills with that mediocre defense. So it doesn't really matter how good Lamar is playing right or isn't playing right now. Until they take the steps to shore that defense up where they can actually contain any passing game, well, then Lamar's just going to be a scapegoat for a team who he really can't overperform enough to make up for the fact that he can't play on the defensive side of the ball too.
I understand that. I was just going off of the expectations they had ahead of last season when they did make a playoff run, because a lot of people in the media that cover the game were, kind of expecting to take that next step deep into a second round. So like you said, they're not going to go even that far if they don't clear up that secondary.
No, not this year.
Not this
year.
I
mean, the secondary hasn't looked good, but on paper coming into the season, it looked like it might be one of the best secondaries in the NFL. You had Marcus Williams, where you already have Chuck Clark. You had Kyle Hamilton. You have Marcus Peters. You have Marlon Humphrey coming into the season. It looks like it on paper should be a good secondary, and I think they might be able to figure that out.
Yeah, for sure.
Quick thing, joining us is Bars the God for a surprise guest appearance. Here he is right now.
Trying to time that out.
Okay. Bars the God, it's good to see you. What's up, dude?
What's going on, boys? What's going on?
What's up, Bars? Desmond and Alex, Kevin Schaefer, Bars the God. Here you go. Two great minds with sports and football.
Going on, Big Kev?
Nice to meet you.
All right, now the crew's there. So switching it up a bit. Great to see you. So we're going to switch it off and talk about the other New York football team making a lot of noise. The New York Jets get another huge win off of the Green Bay Packers. Breece Hall's looking like a serious back in this league. Quinnen Williams has been really solid. Zach Wilson is holding it down and providing wins for the Jets. As the Jets defense stops the stellar running back by committee in Green Bay, and with the likes of Sauce Gardner as well. And the Packers look like they are in serious trouble this time. So first, I'm going to toss it to the Jets fan. Kevin Schaefer has been loyal a long time, who kept faith, especially when it was looking like they were a real joke after the first 2 weeks. And I admit, and there's a clip of me saying that. But it seems I'm eating crow on this one, and I will stand corrected. And now they are getting a lot of momentum, and maybe soon Robert Saleh is going to keep the receipts that he is requesting. So first,
you're
Kevin,
a Jets fan?
Yes, sir. Since birth.
You are a brave man. I
hear that.
I appreciate you.
I was born into it and just never stopped.
Hey, respect.
Hey, man, maybe it's finally going to get rewarded. So, Kevin, I'm just going to make it easy for you. Tell me how you're feeling about your team after 6 weeks at 4-2.
Well, first of all, I mean, you have 3 weeks of Joe Flacco, one where he wins a miraculous game. I mean, I have to give him credit for that one. But, you get Zach Wilson at the start of the season, they might win one of those games. They might have beat Baltimore. I think they could have beat Baltimore with Zach Wilson because the offense couldn't get going with Flacco. Everyone loves to talk about Sauce Gardner. I love Sauce Gardner. But, I mean, the big guy in the secondary so far is DJ Reed. DJ Reed has been absolutely shut down all year. And when you have two guys on either side, this season really reminds me of the 2009, 2010, 2010, 2011 Jets. You have a young quarterback who, as of right now, looks like he's playing like a game manager, a la Mark Sanchez. But you have a phenomenal defense with a great pass rush, 2 shutdown corners, and you have a running game. I mean, Breece Hall has been absolutely phenomenal. Shout out PFF George for saying that was the worst pick of the draft. And how the Jets would miss that 5th round pick that they traded to get him. I think this is a team that can make the playoffs, especially because going down the stretch, they have a very, very soft schedule going down the stretch. If they can get through, the next 4 games where you have Denver, New England, Buffalo, I can't tell you the other one, but if they can get through those games 2-2, 3-1, I mean, they have a legitimate shot to be the 5 seed in the AFC. I don't think they're going to win the division this year. I don't think anyone's going to surpass Buffalo. I could see Buffalo winning 13 games this year. But I mean, 10, 11 wins looks within reach at the moment.
Yes, and just to put on that on record, it goes Denver, then the Patriots, which will be a big game in 2 weeks, and then the Bills on the 6th. Just to point that out. You were saying, Desmond?
I want to jump in here because I want to just make that point. I think I'm going to just keep it right there. First, last week I said that if the Jets won, I was buying stock in the Jets. So I'm going to keep my word here. I'm buying stock in the Jets. So, I'm going to start taking a little bit of the old thoughts about the Jets off of this current Jets team. I think we get caught up in cultures too much. But yeah, man, the next 5 games they play: Broncos, Patriots, Bills, Patriots, Bears. I mean, those are 5 good defenses. I don't think that the Jets defense is the question. It's the Jets offense. So, I want to see the Jets offense versus those 5 defenses, because I think if they can put up a decent amount of points in these 5 next weeks, then yeah, punch your tickets. The Jets going to the playoffs, because the rest of the schedule after that, it's very favorable after those 5 weeks. I think that a lot of those games are kind of soft, except for going up against Buffalo again and maybe the trip out to Seattle. You should have it. That should be a playoff berth for the Jets for the first time in a decade?
Yep.
Yeah, a decade now.
Yeah.
Be 10, the longest.
Since the Mark Sanchez days.
Well, I think what's going on right now with the offense is best case scenario for Zach Wilson. He's not being asked to do too much. He's not being asked to go out there and win games, not being asked to go out there and, put up a high-powered offense. Breece Hall, Michael Carter are getting the rock. The offensive line is blocking well, and he gets to sit back, go through his reads when he has to throw the ball, get a lot of, quick, easy dink and dunks, and it gives him a chance to learn and not have so much pressure on him, which is what you want for a young quarterback.
Are we ready to say that the Jets and the Giants are the same team? Because I'm ready to say it. They're constructed almost the exact same way. The good defensive line, the defensive type of head coach who's building a culture there, the strong running game, the quarterback who's just trying not to lose the game for you.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't they the same team?
Well, when you bottom out and you draft high, that's kind of what happens.
It has a 5-year plan.
The difference is, right? Honestly, there's no difference, to be honest with you.
I wouldn't say that's always
both have
because
they both have pretty good defenses. I can't tell you who number 20 off the Giants is off the top of my head, but the first 2 games of the season and even after that, he's been a really big playmaker. The Jets had a phenomenal draft, as we all know. You know what I'm saying? Garrett Wilson is I don't know if I butchered his name, but Garrett Wilson, he's burning a couple people. You got Sauce Gardner. He's doing a couple things. He's not, he ain't stopping George Pickens, but you know what I'm saying? He's doing a couple things. And then
he did lock up Pickens, though.
Not Sauce though. But listen, y'all had a pretty solid draft. And from watching y'all play, it's really good. I'm not crazy like Desmond. I'm not about to start throwing my money into useless stock. But I will say that you guys are looking really phenomenal. A lot like the what year was that? Y'all was looking real good, man.
2010, 2011.
Yes, 2010, 2011, 2015. I wouldn't say it's that recent.
They went to the AFC Championship game 2 years in a row.
They did.
And they went
what with Mark
10 and 6
Sanchez?
in
Yes,
2019.
Mhm.
yes. Y'all was looking good when y'all had Mark Sanchez right before the butt fumble.
Hey, they beat Tom Brady and Peyton Manning in the same postseason that year.
The one thing I want to ask before we move on to the next segment is, I know we were talking on and off about the struggles with Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
On third down, he was 4 for 16 last Sunday, and they only, accumulated 218, yards through the air. Is this more of a symptom of a larger issue with the rank and file with the receivers, or is that more of a feather in the cap to the Jets?
I'm gonna give it to the shitty management of the Green Bay Packers and them having a lack of actually good receivers. Like, you gotta look at it. They could have went in the draft. They could have picked up anybody. There was receivers for days. Like, literally, they could have got Olave. Well, they probably couldn't got Olave. Look at anyone that went in the second round, right? Green Bay could have got their hands on any one of them. They could have got Pickens. They could have got off the top of my head, I can't tell you the list of the receivers that came out in the second round, but I can tell you they could have got Pickens. They could have got Calvin Austin. You know what I'm saying? Like, they could have got Steven Sims. They could have picked up anyone. Like, not Steven Sims. The hell's his name? Rookie in Pittsburgh, man. I forget his name, but they could have picked up. No, that's another one. Got him. I think he was undrafted probably, but they could have picked up anyone. Look at all the people that went undrafted. The fact of the matter remains is Green Bay's organization only cares about, for some strange reason, not getting wide receivers. That's it. Their whole goal is to not get wide receivers. They got Devontae Adams, and then they were like, you know what? Should we get a piece to help him? Nah, fuck it. We got Devontae Adams. Let's go get Randall Cobb, Sammy Watkins. Let's see if Greg Jennings wants to come out of retirement. I don't know. Let's do something.
I wouldn't just chalk it up to just the shitty wide receivers. I mean, you look at the wide receivers that Reed and Gardner have held this year. I mean, Tyreek and Waddle, both under 80 yards. You have Tyreek at 71. You have Waddle at 30. I mean, Jamar Chase had 3 catches for 35 yards. Pickens, Claypool, and Deontay Johnson did absolutely nothing against them. So I wouldn't say it's just, I mean, obviously that's a part of it. I mean, when you're thrown to Dobbs, Randall Cobb, and Alan Lazard, that's obviously not going to get it done. But the Jets secondary has been legit all year long.
I mean, there's a couple different things going on here. The first is the Packers receiving core isn't good. It's just not good. We knew who Alan Lazard was last year. I don't know why we were trying to have revisionist history about who this wide receiver was. He wasn't that great last year, which is why Aaron Rodgers almost exclusively threw to Devontae Adams, 99% of the time on all dropbacks. And then Randall Cobb was a good receiver, but he's older now. He can't get the separation he used to. Sammy Watkins been battling injuries. Same story. And Dobbs and Watson, I mean, yeah, they're rookies, but they're not progressing that far along. But obviously he's trusting Dobbs more and more. I would know because he's on my fantasy team. So I'm seeing those targets go up. Mm-hmm. I'm believing in Dobbs. But honestly, I think we need to put more blame on Aaron Rodgers. He just doesn't look that decisive on the field. He really doesn't. I mean, I feel as though he wants to blame other people and kind of lean on his own greatness, but he doesn't look like a quarterback who's actually understanding the situation that he's in. He wants them to, be better, but he won't come down and actually, tailor some of the play calling to his current personnel situation, which is he doesn't have a good receiving course and the need to have simpler routes.
And it's what's crazy is the Jets on paper, they tripled the production on the ground game for Green Bay. They only had 60 total rushing yards. So when you have a one-dimensional game, it already makes the job of Aaron Rodgers twice as difficult. But to your credit, Desmond, it's he doesn't look as engaged, and it looks like he's missing guys.
Yeah.
Clearly. And I think if he goes under 500 after this week, then it's going to be a funny Pat McAfee interview on Tuesday, and he'll have a lot of explaining to do because he's definitely not the same confident all-pro quarterback who's a 2-time MVP. He's just playing mediocre and not winning games, and it's going to cost him very soon. So
maybe he'll retire and go host Jeopardy.
I mean, they're gonna beat the Commanders. Let's not get like diabolical about it. But when they go to Buffalo the week after that, they're gonna get smashed by the Bills, and I'm gonna enjoy that.
But just listen. Just listen. These are
final
just
point
a
on
few of
this
the names that they passed up on. In the second quarter, in the second round of the draft alone, they ended up getting Christian Watson. How good is he doing this year?
Not good.
Exactly.
Not great.
They let
non-existent.
Wandale Robinson. They passed him
giant.
up. Johnny Mechie, Taquan Thornton, George Pickens, Alec Pierce, Sky Moore. You know what I'm saying?
Alex Pierce has been pretty solid for the Colts.
Sky Moore's been good.
So we're and George Pickens, his targets are going up. He's getting more and more yards. He's not getting like any crazy numbers, but he's like, honestly, I think even he would be more productive in that Green Bay system than whatever they got going on right now. And I agree, Aaron Rodgers deserves just as much blame. Like, that's a fact.
Excellent.
He doesn't look like he wants to be out there.
Nah. Tough start for him, and
Double check needs to discount his ass off the field.
He's got a long ways to go. All right, let's talk about the rematch we've all been waiting for. Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead. The Bills with a huge, absolutely huge win over the Kansas City Chiefs. A huge revenge win as well. And, well, let's break down what happened with Josh Allen throwing 3 touchdowns for 329 passing yards. Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis makes impacts on the field as well. Dawson Knox finally unlocks what potential they can have when they have a solid game with the tight end. The defense stops Mahomes when it matters the most, especially in the fourth quarter, causing 2 major turnovers, which include one on the final drive. Tough game throughout, very even, but ultimately Buffalo is the one to win it all. And they can rise on so much momentum there. How about that in a world where the Kansas City Chiefs are 4-2 and the Giants are 5-1? The Jets, I think, are technically, with this win, above them in the overall conference standings. This was as stellar as it got with a primetime game, and there was nothing to disappoint. And I guess the big thing to look at this one, the Bills are 5-1 now. And like I said, the Bills are 4, and the Chiefs are 4-2. Do we think a win like this for Buffalo first is going to have them coast for the rest of the season? Like Kevin, you said you expect them to have 13 wins. Is this the biggest win they're going to have already this year? And can they coast this off for the next couple of months until the playoffs?
Well, I'll say it was a little bit surprised because Josh Allen is, I think the last 2 years he's 2-10. Now 2-10. It was 1-10 going into the game in 1-score games.
Mm-hmm.
The way it's been with him recently, yeah, he has not won a lot of 1-score games recently. Last couple of years,
that's an amazing stat.
They've either blown people out of the water or he's lost 1-score games. So I mean, coming into that fourth quarter, I didn't see him getting it done. He hasn't been clutch very much, and watching him win a 1-score game like that gives me a lot of confidence. You know, as much as as a Jets fan, not wanting to see the Bills win, watching him go in that fourth quarter and win the game, not make mistakes that lose them a 1-score game, I see, like I said, 13 wins for this team, and I think they can coast a lot of the way. I mean, I think they have a couple of tough games throughout the rest of the season, but I don't see anyone really coming to their level.
Mm-hmm.
You know, going off that, I think 13 wins is too low because 13 wins would mean 4 losses. And I don't see 3 more losses on this schedule looking at it here. I mean, unless they just like start sitting people at week 14 or something. You know, it's for me, I was actually encouraged by what the Chiefs did because the Chiefs have a very suspect defense who's been playing really under par all year.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to hold that Bills offense to just 24 points, I think that should worry Buffalo because that was the part of the game plan that I thought wasn't gonna, you know, like actually, you know, be an issue for them. I thought they'd be able to score on the Chiefs defense at will. It was a question of whether or not the Chiefs could score on that Bills defense. And so, yeah, they won the game. They won a close one. You know, winning's all that matters. But at the end of the day, the Bills also beat the Chiefs in like week 5 or 6 in the regular season last year and then lost in the playoffs. So I don't think we should take too much stock into it, other than the fact that I think we did just see the 2 best teams in the NFL face each other. And I think they should face each other again in the postseason. And if it's in Buffalo, edge Buffalo for sure.
So if we're gonna separate it, it's a good point, Desmond. If we're gonna separate it by how we who we're more encouraged about after this game, because I thought it was the best game of the weekend, I would definitely actually take the argument on behalf of Buffalo, because looking back, I understand that Kansas City kept this game close, but they still gave up 450 yards of offense, 320 through the air. They couldn't stop Stephon Diggs through the air as well. And Josh Allen looked sensational. They had the ground game going with Singletary. They played a clean game, not a lot of turnovers. And in the end, the Chiefs, they still don't they're just, it just feels like they're just going for fireworks. It feels like Andy Reid is still kind of running the show a little brazenly. And I don't think that's going to serve them well in the playoffs, because I think that the Chiefs, they still have a lot of, things to improve on, since the absence of Tyreek Hill, because now they're really set to progress for the future in a franchise manner. But Allaire was shut down 9 of 33. He only had about 3.5 a carry.
He looks like a bust in general.
Well, yeah, but it could just be a product of a lot of what Bieniemy's trying to dial up too, because I don't think he has the breakaway speed, but it doesn't look like their offense is operating in a manner in which he can do so. So I feel far more encouraged by what the Bills produced on Sunday, and I think that I don't see another loss until the week at home against Minnesota, frankly.
I like to touch a little bit on that. I'm looking at the Bills schedule, and it's pretty light. And all I can really say is that they could probably get a loss in one of those trap games, maybe. But aside from that, their schedule looks pretty cake, man. And it's kind of scary. I don't think Green Bay is gonna have the defensive power to stop them. And then I'm just looking at it. They play the Jets and the Patriots and Miami 2 times this year. So one of those games could easily be a gimme for one of those other teams, So
it's been a long time since the AFC East had 4 decent teams. It's been dominated by the Patriots for so long. It's almost weird to think that they're all kind of viable right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I kind of lost train of thought.
I got you back. Pick you up a little bit.
I'd like to point out if the Bills add Christian McCaffrey, which looks like it could be a possibility,
just give
that
up.
team might win a Super Bowl and not lose a game the rest of the year. If you add that dynamic weapon where now you have a real run game, along with Christian McCaffrey, you add him to Gabe Davis, you add him to Dawson Knox, you add him to Stephon Diggs. Who's covering those 4 guys?
Oh, they were with a bad taste in their mouth from last season. They want to go for it once and for all.
To be honest, Dawson Knox been kind of dry this season. I got him on fantasy. He ain't really been doing shit for me.
He doesn't get a lot of targets in that offense.
He doesn't.
Yeah, Diggs gets a lot of targets, which I'm happy about because he's on my fantasy team.
And
I remember now. The problem with the Chiefs is the Chiefs, when they get ahead, they play conservatively.
Yeah,
they do not play aggressively, and I cannot take credit for that. For that hot take, it was actually one of my coworkers. He told me this, and I actually stopped and I thought about it. Look at how the Bills play offense. They will crush you if you give them the chance. Doesn't matter what they're up by, they will fucking blow you out. And then the Chiefs tend to be like, all right, we're up like 14 points. Let's fall back a little bit. Now the defense is playing lax, chilling, and they're on the sideline, probably playing patty cake and fucking rock, paper, scissors. And now the other team's up 20 points. And now the Chiefs got to play catch up, which they are surprisingly good good at playing catch up. But now having to do that, you got to jumpstart your defense. You got to jumpstart your offense. Everything's if you're playing a kill the whole time, and you don't ever have to worry about that. You're just going out there efficiently, running through the game. You're actually letting your defense get a breather. But if you're just going out there playing conservatively, just doing a couple check downs and then we ain't getting it, you got to play a little bit more aggressively than that.
Well, and the other thing too, Bars, is that like there's still like a little bit of like lack of discipline with Spagnuolo's defense, because there were two plays distinctly on the second to last drive that Buffalo had where there was the Chris Jones play that was a no call on the tripping call that they didn't call that they probably could have, and that would have gave them a first down immediately and continued the drive and ran out the clock. But also there was a no call on the kickoff as well, from that possession that Buffalo kicked off, and there was I think it was a hit. It was a hit off of the out of the play that could have basically gave them a fresh set of downs. So I think like, kind of cleaning up some of that play on some of that play with their special teams, and just the Spagnuolo's defense will allow them to get improve throughout the year too.
Well, and then I want to make 2 points about the Bills defense. First of all, Tre'Davious White's coming back, right? I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah,
Tre'Davious White will be back. And let's talk about Jordan Poyer, who drove 15 hours both ways because he wasn't cleared to fly to play for them. I mean, first of all, when you have a culture like that where a guy's willing to drive 15 hours to come and play for you, that's insane. And getting him back in general is huge for their defense. And a defense that just shut out a Steelers team, which is not a terrible offense, and beat them 38-0. You get Poyer back. You're gonna have Tre'Davious White back. I mean, that defense is scary too.
Yeah. We had 3 points. Don't do that.
Oh, 3. Sorry.
Basically, shut up.
Just enough. But all in all, it was exactly what we expected, and then some. And nothing beats stellar primetime football like that. And transitioning to another primetime game, we had Philadelphia versus Dallas. Eagles win 26-17. Incredible game for Jalen Hurts. Incredible game for the Eagles, having 3 interceptions in all. Seems Cooper Rush lost his job. Dak Prescott's coming back after this week, and the Eagles are riding high after a huge win at home on Sunday night. Gonna throw it to the Eagles fan. Are you now feeling like this is the best team in the NFC? Because last week when we spoke, you didn't feel so confident. After this win against your division rival, has that take changed?
A little bit, but not completely. I mean,
Okay.
I saw a lot of things in that game that still make me a little worried about the team overall. We definitely struggled after Lane Johnson went out, so I'm definitely worried about my offensive line right now.
Mhm.
I was encouraged by one thing, because I think you don't really know what kind of coaching you have until you're put against like a really tough defense. And I love the fact that they made the whole game plan around Micah Parsons. Like they were constantly trying to either like run at him or throw at him, or just like it seemed like they were tailoring everything that they were doing to him. The couple like plays I saw in I think they were almost like back to back, where they had someone kind of like in motion who was like going to run right by him, almost like to like clip him up. And then they would throw to that receiver who just ran by him. Smart game planning. And I also I think it's a pretty cool flex that we can QB sneak whenever we want to and no one can stop it. So that's pretty cool. But Dallas, actually you asked me earlier if I feel threatened by the Giants. I feel threatened by the Cowboys. That defense is for real. We're gonna have to go play them in Dallas later in the season when they have Dak back at full strength. I think Dallas is just as good as our team is. And so I don't feel comfortable calling the Eagles the best team in the league just yet.
Okay.
Not until I can see what the Cowboys are going to do once Dak gets reinstalled. But I like where we're heading. I think this team gets better as the season goes on. And I think that Jalen Hurts is going to be a great quarterback in this league, but he's not there yet. I think he's getting better, but he's on the ascent. So I'm encouraged by what the Eagles are doing right now.
That Micah Parsons game plan, absolute genius. What they did is they took him out of the game. If you try and block Micah Parsons, he's going to sack your quarterback 3 times.
Yeah.
So what they did, they leave him unblocked and let Jalen Hurts read him every play. Zone reads, the RPO, and they took him out of the game. They essentially took their best player out of the game, and that's wonderful game planning. And Nick Sirianni is a maniac. I mean, after the game, he looks at the Cowboys sideline, screams, "Fuck you, it's over."
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what
And
you're supposed to
then
do.
running
He's a
down the
real
tunnel
bro.
just screams, "Go Birds." I mean, that's the guy you want coaching your team. That's the guy that players are gonna, buy into their scheme, and you can see that he's done that this year. They've all bought in, and he's game planned extremely well for everyone they've played.
I disagree with the Cowboys being just as good as a team as the Eagles. I hate both teams, and pains me to say that the Eagles is slightly better than the Cowboys right now, offensively and defensively. The Eagles, the Cowgirls, they can't get their offense to click like fully all the way yet. Like CD should be that game should have went completely different if that offense was on point. I feel like it's weird to say, but the Cowgirls are already suffering from attrition. It's madness. Like Dak's not in there. Like Zeke has just never been the same. Everyone's prepared for Tony Pollard. That 1-2 punch is already getting a little who else do they have over there? Like they got rid of Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup. Like, come on, like, stop it. It was like it could have their offense is not it's not clicking the way it should be. Now, if you want to look at the Eagles they got they got AJ Brown over there.
Yeah.
And they got Devontae Smith. Devontae won me some money. Like, dude's an animal. Like, how many touchdowns did he have?
He had just one, but I mean, as far as
One?
a number 2 wide receiver goes, I mean, he's a pretty good number 2 wide receiver.
Come on.
Former Heisman winner.
That offensive line is good. Jalen Hurts runs not because he's in trouble, it's because he wants to, or because the play calls for it. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the difference. And sadly enough, the only issue that I feel is going to slow the Eagles down is the fact that they're on such a roll right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, eventually they'll slow down. Still think they're going to make the playoffs. And I believe that they got the best chance of winning their division. So, but
the Eagles passing game just isn't strong enough yet. I'm gonna keep my point really brief here, because if you do run against a defense who's able to contain our running game, we might struggle throwing the ball, and that's why I'm still worried about just yet. But I think that might get better as the season goes along.
And I kind of stopped to look at it. If you kind of pay attention to the Eagles over time, their offense has always kind of been built around a scrambling type quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Or not always, but like since McNabb
2000.
Era.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Since the McNabb era. Then I don't know who stepped in right after McNabb.
Michael
Vic
Vick
was there. Exactly. Vic was there at one point, scrambling his ass off, doing his thing, chucking the ball. Only thing is Jalen Hurts needs to get more confidence in his arm. And then you guys will be looking a little more solid. Like,
well, yeah, I think you didn't take it quite a step further. I think like the only thing unlocking them from, an NFC championship, honestly, is just getting more reassurances between Hurts and Sirianni, because I think this team is complete. I think that, other than the 4 sacks that they gave up on Sunday, you're going to give that up to a good defensive team like Dallas. But, I mean, they were exceptional, in all 3 phases of the game. And in reality, when you can control the ground game and you can control the clock, you make it a lot easier for your defense. They won in time possession by almost 9.5 minutes. So I thought this was just a phenomenal statement game.
And I think I believe, in my opinion, I believe that the front defensive line is just a bit better than the Cowboys defensive line overall, because the Cowboys don't have Randy Gregory, right? They lost him.
He's in Denver.
Exactly. That's a big missing piece of your defense right there. And then
you smoke weed in Denver.
So yeah, there you go. But that's a big piece of your defense missing right there already. And then you just got to look at how well that defensive line just clicks for the Eagles. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not saying that the defensive line doesn't click that well for the Cowboys, but there's more big names, I feel, on that defense. So people are looking more for those big names on defense to make plays, as in on defense for the Eagles. That whole defensive line can make a play at any moment. Like, it's just I don't know.
Yeah, it's just smart D line construction. When you can rotate in and out like between 6 to 8 or 6 to 9 like players on your defensive line, like, yeah, you're stacked. I mean, that's what every defensive line wants. The Eagles can do that. The Cowboys can do it too, though. That's the problem. And so, I mean, like, I don't think there's a whole lot of separation between us and them just yet, but I'm willing to see how the rest of the season goes. I'm encouraged. Eagles are 6-0. That's the most important thing.
Quick
Most
hot
important
take
thing
on
in
on the Cowboys. I don't think Zeke is on this team at the end of the year. I think he's dealt at the
Ooh.
deadline.
No.
Tony Pollard has been phenomenal for them, and Zeke is probably at the highest his stock is going to be. Someone's going to need a running back. If they come calling, I'm trading Zeke. Let Pollard run the ball. He's been your best running back all year anyway.
He's been your best running back for 2 years. Come on.
Well, and here's the thing. If you're paying Dak $40 million a year, how can you justify being a run-first offense? I just don't think that has enough leverage in this game in 2022.
Oh, I mean, Dak had his best years when they were a run-first offense, so it might actually be in their benefit to keep that like 60-40 run style when he does come back anyway, especially if he's coming back with screws in his hand from a.
Because Dak is a game manager, not a quarterback.
No, Desmond. I don't get me wrong. I don't disagree. I think he looks exceptional when he has a great ground game to rely on. But I just think that when you pay them that type of money, that they're expecting production out of Dak.
I mean, he's the Cowboys quarterback. When don't they have expectations though?
All the caterwauling, that entire like damn near like that they did like just to get paid and shit for them to produce what? How many NFC championships?
It's the Cowboys. I mean, the people who actually believe that they're going to do something. I mean, people have been delusional for like this whole century so far. I mean,
my favorite D word.
It's been since '95 since they've been in a Super Bowl. But yes, Eagles take this, stay undefeated. The Cowboys looking forward to returning Dak Prescott. Should be good after that. So we'll talk about one of two upsets that Bars got, but this in general was a very interesting game, and then we'll throw one in the middle. The Steelers defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kenny Pickett comes out, and then the Nickelodeon MVP Mitch Trubisky helps bring down the Bucs at home. The big story here is Mitch. Did he prove that he's still a starter in this league after this win? I'll just start right away with that. Did Mitch Trubisky, after defeating Tampa Bay, prove that he could still start in this league?
Hell no. Hell to the
Don't think so. Tell me why.
Hell no. Mitch Trubisky proved that he's a solid backup quarterback. That's what he has proved. He's proved it in Buffalo, and he's proved it again in Pittsburgh. Pay that man for 2 years so he could be the new Mason Rudolph. Dust off Mason Rudolph to whatever team they want to dust him off to. I heard Carolina had interest in the office. I don't care. The fact is, Mitchell Trubisky will never be a starting quarterback in this league ever again. Like, that's just maybe I'm wrong, but like, he's not about to have no Ken Stable type career, win a bowl, like, and then come back and do something else. Nah, he's not about to do that. Mitchell Trubisky has shown what he can do. Like, over time, the offensive line was not great in the beginning of the season, and they slowly started to shore up. And as it was shoring up, Mitchell Trubisky had time to throw the ball. He's just inaccurate at times. He can be very accurate. He can put the ball right on the button, but there are times where he should use his legs. He doesn't use his legs, and he's an athletic quarterback. That's like it's oxymoronic. Like, it's just weird. It's like, do I use my legs? Do I scramble? Let me throw the ball. Pick. What are we doing here? But when the game is not all on his shoulders, I've realized that Mitchell Trubisky is actually a decent quarterback. Look at his when Josh Allen was down last year. Mitch came in Buffalo. I think they won that game, if I'm correct. Mitch did his thing, held it down, couple runs, some nice throws. Mitch is best mid-range. He's not no deep threat quarterback. He can throw it deep, but he's best mid-range. But like, all in all, I can't really just blame him. But he was trash in Chicago. He just barely was over 500, like 31-29. Come on, got no time for that.
He went to the playoffs with Matt Nagy as his head coach. I mean,
Matt Nagy went to the playoffs with Mitchell Trubisky as a starting quarterback.
Wrong. Mitch Trubisky carried Nagy to the playoffs, and Matt Nagy didn't build an offense for Mitch Trubisky.
How long was Nagy over there?
3 years, I think.
3 seasons.
Okay.
You couldn't
Double
build an
doink
offense
and lost
for
to
Justin
New
Fields.
Orleans.
You couldn't build an offense for Justin Fields.
Yeah,
I think that Mitchell Trubisky is basically Jimmy Garoppolo.
I agree 100%.
And here's what I mean
100%
by
agree.
that. Currently, the Pittsburgh Steelers have a below average offensive line. And Mitchell Trubisky is a very safe quarterback who doesn't really like to throw the football into like tight spaces. He likes to throw it to people who are wide open. It looks like he's a dude who's trying to just like make the safe play every single game. And you can't have that on a team who has a suspect offensive line because you've got to be able to open it up with the passing game. So if you had Mitch Trubisky with a team who had great receivers and a great offensive line, I think he could game manage a team, into the playoffs, but he can't game manage a bad team into the playoffs. So he's not a great quarterback, but he could win you some games in the right circumstance. I don't think Pittsburgh is the right circumstance. He's going to be the backup there.
Yeah, that's definitely. But you give me a team where you see Mitchell Trubisky being the starting quarterback. The New York Jets. Yeah, okay. I see them going there. I see him going to the New York Giants as well.
He wouldn't start for the Jets.
Nah,
He wouldn't
can start for the
Daniel
Cardinals.
I'd rather have Daniel Jones than Mitch
Start for the
Trubisky
Cardinals?
right now.
Who's
He can start for the Cardinals.
Where?
At quarterback.
Yeah,
Where?
Over Kyler Murray.
I mean, you want to have this
Way
debate.
too
I think
trash.
Kyler Murray is officially
then-
overrated.
Yeah,
Kyler
definitely.
Murray is
Completely.
2-42 during double.
Last
XP
week,
seasons.
I said while you weren't here that I think Justin Fields is a bust. My hot take for this week is I think that Kyler Murray is severely overrated, and he might also be a bust.
It
They
does
have
look slow.
big bust, but he's got little glimpses that people like to see. Now, I will tell you this:
I'll save it
team
for
I
another
do see-
conversation.
another team I do see Mitchell Trubisky starting for. Houston Texans.
All right, but moving on from that, the other thing regarding the Steelers and another weakness, the Steelers team. The Steelers defense is pretty weak. Yet they were able to give pressure to Tom Brady, and you could see as Tom Brady was just giving it to his offensive line, he was pissed. Definitely the funniest meme of the week, saying, "I'm losing my family to lose to the Steelers team." Man, tough one there. Especially on third down in the red zone. It was a tough game for Tampa Bay and the Bucs. You were saying, Kevin?
I think the easiest explanation is that Giselle is a witch and Tom Brady's career is now over. I mean, that's the easiest explanation here.
Okay. So yeah, this was basically going in this point about the Buccaneers at 3-3 right now. Tom Brady looks older and older in these press conferences, and the Bucs are definitely underachieving. And Brady's weapons did return for this game. He had a healthy Godwin, he had a healthy Mike Evans, and still wasn't able to capitalize, only scoring 18 points against a severely missed out Steelers team.
I think this is going to be Brady's, with Peyton Manning's last year in Denver, where the team might win some games despite of him. I don't think he's going to be the guy that he's been. I think he took it a year too long, just like Peyton Manning did, to try and win another championship.
Facts. Listen, Tom Brady had his sunlight or his limelight or whatever you want to call it. He had his 15 minutes in the fame. It lasted 20 fucking years. The problem with Tom Brady is he should have knew when to hang the hat up. And because he's not going to know when to hang the hat up, instead of kissing his kids in the mouth, right? He should be over there raising his damn kids. He could have been spending time. Yeah. So instead of collecting Father's Day cards from Phillip Rivers and his kids, you should be collecting Father's Day cards from your kids. And this is the repercussion you get from it. Your age is setting in. Your wife don't love you no more.
Is this a football podcast or a TMZ podcast? What are we doing right now? What are we doing right now?
Okay. Tom should have hung it up, bro. That's just it. The football gods have spoken. He got his 7. Like, that's it. Nobody got, 7 rings. Tom should have been like, yeah, I'm done. Like, even Tom's dad, I think it's his dad, bro. I think it's Tom Brady's dad, to be honest. Fuck your wife and the kids, man. Go play ball. Like, I think that's what it is.
And also,
do you think some of this is just a byproduct of not having weapons, too? I mean,
it is.
Yeah.
Not having weapons.
Yeah, no.
Well, I mean, outside
yes, 100% right.
Did you know Akeem Hicks was on that defense? Because I didn't know that.
So outside of Mike Evans, you really just have Chris Godwin basically on a return year after coming off an injury. So, it is kind of slim pickings with that team. And, besides Leonard Fournette, who's basically half of what he used to be, like, they don't have a lot to go to.
What happened to
No,
OJ
I mean,
Howard?
like, if you're looking at the team as a
Gronk.
whole, if you're looking at the team as a
Gronk.
whole, I mean, like, Brady has always been a guy who relied on a strong offensive line to be who he is. Like, that's always been something that he's had his entire career, going back to New England. Belichick stressed the offensive line. He's always had protection. He's not a mobile quarterback. The offensive line has taken some injuries. And so Brady is vulnerable back there, which has always been the way to beat Brady. On top of that fact, all defenses are slanting towards Mike Evans because the rest of his wide receivers are suspect. Chris Godwin's coming off an ACL injury, and then he pulled his hamstring or tweaked his hamstring in the first game against Dallas. So he can't get separation the way he used to. Russell Gage has always been a below average wide receiver. Julio Jones is hurt. Gronkowski is injured, and then Brake gets injured. Yeah, this Buck offense is just not what it was last year. Tom Brady threw for 5,000 yards last season. There's no way to say that he just dropped off over the course of 4 or 5 months in the offseason. That doesn't make any sense. His team's not as good as it was last year. So, I mean, like, yeah, he should retire, but like, let's look at the whole picture here. That team is not what it was last year.
2015 Peyton Manning. Look at 2015 Peyton Manning. Look at the year he won the Super Bowl.
Right, but he had a neck injury, so it was actually getting worse as the years were going along.
Also, Tom Brady, 3/4 of his career has been elevating terrible wide receivers.
I was just about to touch this.
He won the AFC East with Tembrell Tompkins as his number 1 wide receiver.
Right, and also he always had the best offensive line in the league.
I agree 100% on
that.
The
is not completely
I agree the offensive line is the problem, but I don't think you can blame weapons on it at all because he's always been great at elevating receivers. But the offensive line is clearly the issue.
He's had a top 5 offensive line.
He's always had good wide receivers too. I mean, even going back to the beginning, Troy Brown, Deion Branch won Super Bowl MVP. He had Randy Moss. I mean,
he had Randy Moss 1 year, 2-3 years,
4 years. Wes Welker, like Julian Edelman. Are you kidding me? He's always had weapons.
All right, but let's go back to the beginning. No, he's not always had weapons. That was in the 2010s of his carears. Let's go back to the beginning of his careers in the early 2000s.
Deion Branch won MVP against the Eagles in 2004.
All right, Deion Branch. What did Deion Branch do after that?
Troy Brown's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Only probably because of Tom Brady. Outside of that, who else did he got?
You're saying he didn't have weapons.
He had no weapons.
Man, Tom Brady's always causing debates.
He was not a prolific scorer. Tom Brady was not. And now, later in his career, when he started attaining weapons, he became a prolific scorer. Like 55 touchdown passes. That wasn't Tom Brady in the 2000s. First of all, Tom Brady almost died.
For in 2007, where he set the record for most touchdown passes in the NFL season, where Randy Moss still holds the record for most receiving touchdowns in a season.
He had to have.
You see the highlights from that 2007 season?
Yes, I did.
Like college games.
It was a track game. It was a track team.
Yeah,
he made Darrelle Revis one of the best corners.
And he lost to Eli Manning.
Looked like an idiot.
And he lost to Eli Manning
because of the
Giants' defense is legit.
Pass rush.
That offense was prolific. The only offense greater than that. The only offense greater than that offense was that Matt Ryan offense.
Well, they're the greatest show on
to Tom Brady. 2015?
The Rams team, too.
Man, Tom Brady always creating debates. I love it. Now let's talk about Kirk Cousins instead. So it looks like the Vikings continue their dominance and improve to 5-1. Dalvin Cook shows how reliable he can be as a running back in this league. Justin Jefferson shows why he's a top back. Thielen is really getting a lot of momentum as the weeks have gone on. And Kirk Cousins has been staying consistent. Lots to be excited about in Minnesota. Miami still dealing with the many injuries they are having, really losing momentum. And despite a good game from Teddy Bridgewater, Hill and Waddle and Gesicki, who really needs to have more standout games for his skill set, it was a tough day in this Super Bowl rematch from back in the early 70s. But all in all, how about the Vikings? They're 5-1 and they're not getting a lot of love. Why is that?
Because they're frauds.
You think they're frauds? Please elaborate on that.
Like Kirk Cousins has always been a very mid quarterback. He's just mid. I mean, he will always be that guy who's in between like 12th and like 18th as far as quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, and I know the theme of the episode is like, look at the schedule. Well, I mean, I'm looking at the schedule right now, and they're going to have games against the Bills, Cowboys, Patriots, Jets, and Lions all in a row. And I think they're going to lose all of them. I mean, like, honestly, I do not believe that this Minnesota Vikings team is that good. Their defense has, I mean, they basically play this really weak shell coverage over and over again. They've been getting lucky with facing mediocre offenses. When they actually play another good offense, I think that the Vikings are going to fold. I do not think this team is, they'll probably win the division because the Packers are sucking this year and the Lions don't have a defense and the Giants don't, I mean, the Bears don't have an offense, but I mean, they might win the division going 10-7 or 9-8. I don't think they're a good team.
Okay.
How many of those games are at 1:00?
I think you're sleeping on them, boy.
That's a good question.
I think you're sleeping on the Vikings.
Because 1:00 Kirk Cousins is the best Kirk Cousins.
If there's anyone that doesn't like Kirk Cousins, it's me. I think he is a mid quarterback. Statistically, that man is in the ratings for a lot of top fives in completion, passer rating, and there's one other category. But I found that out like just recently, like watching the NFL Top 100. Kirk Cousins is a very efficient and actually very accurate quarterback. That's what we don't realize. Well, it's because he doesn't stand out doing these Patrick Mahomes like things that we're not really looking at Kirk Cousins, but they're winning. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, like, well, Desmond said it. It's like he's fraud in the context of like, are they a real playoff team? Like they'll win the division handily, and I hope to pray to God that they do because this is the only chance they're going to get with Green Bay being in the slumps. But I mean, there are a lot of things to like about this team, you know, in terms of the offense and how it operates, and Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson and Thielen. Like, I do like this Minnesota team to at least win the division, but beyond that, you know, I feel like that's their ceiling right now.
What are the team, right? Do you see winning its division that has two capable receivers that are capable of being number one? Thielen and Jefferson. Like, seriously.
There's plenty of teams.
I mean, I'm really disappointed
that's going to win this division
in Detroit right now because I feel like Detroit has a good enough offense to win the division, but their defense just basically doesn't even exist on paper.
They have two number one receivers.
They can't close games.
They have two receivers that can be labeled a number one. The only other team I can think, but I know they're not going to win the division, is Miami. With Waddle and Tyreek.
Don't have two number one receivers. Thielen's not what
Waddle
he
and
used to
Tyreek.
be.
Those are two number one receivers. They can easily be the number one receiver on any team, both of them.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the NFC North really quick.
Oh, no. I just meant like the position wise.
It means like the whole league, yeah.
No, I'm like, you know,
different
like
conversation.
Like,
yeah.
Yo, if I was talking about the best receiver in the league, like, but nah, I mean like the best receiver on the team. They have two receivers that can easily be the best on the team. Thielen, before Jefferson got there, Thielen was a problem. Now I feel like Jefferson got there. Everyone's talking about Jefferson. No one's talking about Thielen. They kind of sleeping on him, and that's gonna open them up. That's gonna get them real good. They got who was a young boy that they had playing with them? They got another receiver. He's like a Brandon Ayuk type guy. Osborne.
Jalen Ray
Osborne.
Yeah,
KJ Osborne.
KJ Osborne. He's solid. Then you got Dalvin Cook, and then who's their backup back?
Madison, right?
He's not bad. Like he's got the Dalvin Cook-esque kind of run in him. He can bust off a couple of big yards when Dalvin's off the field. Like their defense, like you said, shady. Like, is Anthony Barr still over there?
Yeah.
You got what's
You trying to name the whole roster right now? What's the point going on here? Like, make the point, man.
What I'm saying is you sleeping a little too hard on the Vikings. You know what I'm saying?
He was going to say
them
that
last year.
Going to keep going, name the whole roster to make that point.
That game last year that they played against us, one of the greatest games I've ever witnessed. Like legitimately, the comeback was great. We just didn't clutch it out. But listen,
all right.
What's the white boy, man?
Are you serious right now, man?
Harrison, bro. They got a solid man.
Bro, we all got Google. It's okay.
All right.
You know,
Okay. Much love.
Look up that team. That team is good this year. I'm a Steelers
All right.
fan and I'm kissing in my
All
grave.
right.
Like,
you know, one thing too about Miami though, when they had so much momentum in the first 3 weeks and have gone through a hell on a PR standpoint and not winning games anymore. Miami, the big thing, it looks like Tua is returning in week 7. And do we think that Tua can ultimately save them and get the momentum back when they play the Steelers on Sunday night? Do you think Tua is going to save them and overcome from his concussion issues?
hell no. Hell no. Listen, the problem was Tua should have sat down after his first injury. And he was like, nah, I'm good. And then he fucked around and got hit again, right? The issue here is that hero ball. You can't be playing that shit in football. Like, you can't do that shit. You hurt, sit down. They had a decent backup that they could have played, led to it, like, they want to keep that momentum that they had going winning those games. You know what I'm saying? I feel that. I understand that. But ultimately, that time off that Tua should have took is what's going to affect him later on. Yeah, he got it later, but I feel like the damage was done. I feel like you're going to see a lot of 2021 Tua Tagovailoa, dink and dunks, can't really get the ball out. You can probably see a mad Tyreek Hill on the sideline, and you're going to see a very big, cheesy Brian Flores on our sideline.
I'm gonna keep it real quick here because I know we got to get through a bunch of these games still. I think Tua should just sit out for the rest of the season. I mean, just
quick.
Yeah. Honestly,
Tua
I
should
mean,
retire.
you take 2 different concussions in a week. I know that he's trying to play well to get a new contract, but I don't think it's worth it. The Dolphins, are they better with him? Sure, if he's healthy, but is he healthy? I mean, is he mentally healthy? In the sense where, like, is he actually going to be confident being in the pocket? Because the offensive line's never been that great for them. Or is he going to be shook back there and going through his progressions too quickly because he's afraid of getting hit again? It's an unfortunate situation. I think the short answer is no. I don't think that he's enough to help this team get into the playoffs and be good this year. But could be wrong. I think even with Teddy Bridgewater, they'll be favored this week though, because the Steelers on the road in Miami. I like Miami's chances even without Tua, to be honest with you.
The doctor who brought CTE to light told Tua, said in an interview, Tua should retire and never play football again.
Oh,
I mean, he said,
dark.
looking at him, the way his fingers went like that, the way his head hit the turf, he has permanent brain damage and should never play football again. I mean, that's a serious thing to say, and Tua should really consider that. I mean, that's a scary situation, and the Dolphins are most likely going to have some real major repercussions coming after this season.
They found a way to dub concussion protocol the first time around. They found a way. The second time, they wasn't avoiding it. The damage was done. That's my belief.
Yeah, I do think ultimately at the end of the season, it is worth to talk about the Miami franchise as a whole, because remember, their owner's in a lot of shit. This issue with Tua and the concussion issues, I think it's really, it's too early to tell, and you're technically still into it. It's still only week 7, but yeah, Miami, lots of issues going on and off the field. Marcus Mariota, guys. Who would have thought? This guy has 3 touchdowns, stays real confident, completing his first 13 passes in a row, and they ultimately shut out San Francisco in the second half. Good call, Desmond, on that. They eat up the running game, causing fumbles. Jimmy G throws 2 interceptions. Ayuk really was the only bright spot for the San Francisco offense, who is beat up. But how do we like Atlanta moving forward in this division, especially with the Bucs struggling right now? And another win against the spread for Atlanta. How about that? 6-0 against the spread. Atlanta Falcons really making some noise. I think this can really start a legit conversation. Do you guys feel the same way?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think So I was gonna say, yeah, no, I mean, like, they're fun for now. Like, I think they're playing with house money. I'm not quite sure if they're a paper tiger, or if they're like a legit contender for that division, because I think it's wide open. But I like seeing Mariota kind of have a second rebirth. He's playing a pretty conservative game, thus far into the season. He only had 14 attempts. He was, marvelously, efficient. But I like a lot about this team. I think that, like, they're kind of starting to feel their oats a little bit, seeing who has talent and who's who. But I thought this was just like a really, really sloppy game on the part of San Francisco. If you look at, like, kind of the breakdown of what they went through, they had 2 interceptions, they had a fumble. Like, there's a lot of things that they could have cleaned up, but I was really impressed by 9 of 14 on third down for Mariota. I was pleasantly surprised. So I think this team is, real exciting, and they may dethrone Tampa if they continue to have struggles.
I want to say one thing really quickly. I called the game, for reasons I gave last week, but Atlanta's top 10 in points per game. They're currently sitting at number 8. Their schedule is so favorable looking at, like, what they have coming up. I mean, 2 games with the Panthers. They have the Chargers coming to them for another one of those West Coast, like, early 1:00 games. They have the Bears, the Commanders, the Steelers. I mean, they could run through that whole lineup and just, like, win the next 7 games in a row. So I don't know. I think the Falcons offense for real. I mean, they've been scoring 23 or more in 5 of their 6 games. I think watch out for the Falcons.
I will.
So
I as a Steelers fan, I will not watch out for the Falcons. While Mariota is their quarterback. But I will say that I do like Kyle Pitts. He's one of my highlight players. I say look out for him. But, like, yeah, and he's finally coming back. I guess in fantasy he's been dropped off a little bit, but he had a big game last week. That I feel that their record should be 1+1 game. I know what I'm talking about, and that has to do along with that Tom Brady game. So we all know that any other quarterback never would have got that call. But I feel like Atlanta's interesting. They're very exciting. They went, with something new. Got rid of Matty Ice, because we all know he's, But I feel like Atlanta's a very fun, exciting team. Nice to watch. They just might dethrone the Bucks, because if I'm stopping and thinking about it, the Bucks, I don't think the Bucks are really going to do much this year. They might break 500, but, like, I don't see them doing much. If they do go to the playoffs, I see a first round exit, if anything. But I see that too for Atlanta, to be honest. But I do feel Atlanta's really exciting this year. I won't be scared of them, though.
Matt, I don't know if you remember when we did our NFL picks in our group chat. Shout out Chubb Army. We did our NFL picks. I had the Atlanta Falcons second in that division and winning 9 games, and I got clowned by everyone.
Yes,
and
you did.
What
someone
I said,
kept receipts.
What I said is that defense is going to be very good this year. They haven't been as good as I thought they would, but I mean, that's a pretty good defense. Yeah. And that Marcus Mariota would be great in that offense with Cordero Patterson. You have some all right weapons on the outside. I love Drake London. You have Pitts. And I said that was going to be a much better team than people thought in a weak division.
And it looks like your cases might be heard, especially. I think this was a real big win for them. And again, on a gambling standpoint, they keep hitting the spread, and that's always lovely. So, really consider betting on them moving forward.
Desmond, know I had them losing that game.
Mm-hmm. The New England Patriots routed Cleveland. Zappy has a breakout game. 309 yards, couple touchdowns. Offense started slow, but they went full force, and Cleveland just couldn't keep it up. Patriots defense held Nick Chubb to just 12 rushes and 56 yards. Brissett throws a couple of picks as well. Are the Pats back after some tough early season losses?
Hell no. Not as long as Mac Jones is throwing the ball. So
you still think that Mac Jones, when he comes back, that he will unlock the potential that I guess he was lacking in the first few weeks?
No. He's like 3 joints in a surfboard away from saying cowabunga. That's how I feel like about Mac Jones. He's so laid back. Like he doesn't have that that
like a real
dog, that
bro.
aggression that your starting quarterback should have as a Justin Herbert, or when it's game time, Derek Carr. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like even Kenny Pickett is showing a bit more bite. Even Mitch Trubisky, even though it's only press conferences, shows a bit more bite. Like what I'm saying is Mac Jones lacks poise. You need a quarterback that's going to be poised in every situation, do his thing. While he had a good amount of plays last year, made the Pro Bowl. That's decent. Let's see if you can do that this year.
The Patriots are going to the playoffs.
Oh God.
You can clip that one out for a reel later, throw it up on IG. You know, I'll collect my check at the end of the year. Patriots are going to the playoffs. The Lions and the Browns got embarrassed by the Patriots the last 2 weeks. The Lions and the Browns are both top 10 for points per game this year. They both have great offenses. They've been playing great all year. Patriots basically blanketed both teams and embarrassed them. The Patriots' next 4 games are against the Jets, the Colts, and the Jets and the Bears. Yeah, I got Patriots in all 4 of them. Sorry, Jets fan. I'm sorry. They got to prove it to me. They got to prove it to me. Yeah, I think Patriots going to the playoffs. This is a good team. Bailey Zappi. Yeah, I think he's playing better than Mac Jones. I wouldn't be surprised if they just kept him on as a starter. And Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris, when healthy, are a great 1-2 punch in their backfield. Jacoby Myers is not a bad wide receiver. I should know I have him on my fantasy team. I think this team, they're not great, but they're above average. I like them. They're going to be one of the 7 and going to the playoffs.
No, they're average.
I think the AFC East produces 3 playoff teams because I think the Patriots are also a playoff team. Mm-hmm. As a Jets fan who saw Brady take over for Bledsoe and absolutely dominate the division for almost 20 years, Bailey Zappi scares the shit out of me. I mean, that it's a Bill Belichick defense also. I mean, it's always going to be good. He finds people in late rounds, people you don't think are going to be great. Jack Jones, look at him. I mean, blanketing receivers, picking the ball off. They're a scary team. I think they split with the Jets. This is something I've said all year. I think they'll split. I think the Patriots will take theirs at home. Jets will take theirs at home. And I think the AFC East will produce 3 playoff teams this year, including the Patriots.
Y'all are overestimating the Patriots.
And this was the game that ultimately showed that, hey, we are here to stay, you guys feel. Or at least it seems pretty split. That's what I'm getting in this panel.
I'm not quite there definitively yet as New England being a 7 seed or even, a higher playoff team as you guys are. I think a lot had to do with, Chubb being held at 56 yards, which, is a credit to the defense. But I think Brissett throwing 2 picks was really costly in this game. And, I just need to see more from this offense. I know that, he's kind of had, some of the shock value of being kind of the new kid on the block for this offense. But, when the ground game's not working, it's really difficult to see this team flourishing.
Yeah, that's a fact. Like the fact of the matter is you guys are completely overestimating the Patriots. Like I'm just trying to figure it out. Like they really don't have any super crazy offensive pieces that stand out. On defense, they got Matt Judon, and dude is a beast. Like, so I can understand him holding Nick Chubb and that run game holding Nick Chubb to 56 yards. But outside of that, and then Bailey Zappi. It's called an aberration. It's called a flash in the pan. Like, I don't see much happening too much. Like, what really stood out in that game about the Patriots? And then they had great games against who? The Bears, the Jets. Come on. Come on. Like, give me a serious team. And now that the Jets are on a roll and starting to click, you really think they're not going to take them? Like, I believe that the next time the Patriots see the Jets will come out very victorious in that game. And I'm not saying that for you, Big Kev. I'm saying that because I believe that as a fact. Like, that team is starting to roll defensively after what I saw in that last game. The Patriots, they're clicking. They're going back and forth. And if they do take out Zappy and put in Mac Jones, they're definitely not making nothing go happen. Like, you have to, I don't know. I just know for a fact you guys are overestimating the Patriots too.
Well,
nuts.
Here's the thing, real quick, before we throw it to the floor. I don't think that I'm not ruling them out as a playoff team. I'm just looking at the schedule, and it's kind of tough sledding because, I mean, Indianapolis game is a lot closer than people think. I'm a little higher on them coming off of a win. I think going to Minnesota is a tough game. Going to Arizona is tough. You got the Buffalo game in New England, which is tough. And then you got to play Cincinnati, and you got Buffalo again at the end of the year. So those are just all really tough games.
Seriously. And even though Cincinnati is a little like, I believe Cincinnati has a better chance of making the playoffs than New England does. That's just my option.
All right. So, anything the Browns, they're 4 weeks away until getting their starting quarterback back. Even though Jacoby Brissett is, I don't think, living up to the expectations, especially taking advantage of how well Kareem Hunt and Chubb have been despite this past week. Browns still playing their very questionable year, and
I'll save them for my upset.
All right, we'll go more into detail there. So Matt Ryan gets a huge touchdown to standout rookie Alec Pierce with 17 seconds to go, and the Colts give the Jags another tough loss. Matt Ryan plays his best game of the year by far. Can he keep it up? And then for T-Law, he played well as well, almost going perfect, 20 for 22, a couple of rushing touchdowns, but the defense had a tough game at all. Travis Etienne, it's going to be a hard name for me to still practice.
ETN. I think those three letters. E, T, and N.
Perfect. Travis Etienne looks like he could be very explosive, but if he could just hold on to that damn ball, it would be a huge difference maker. So a tale of two different teams. Both good, but still have their things to fix out. Let's focus first on Matt Ryan and the Colts. Do we think Matt Ryan, after a couple wins back to back, is it going to give him the confidence to move forward, especially with the rise of how well Alec Pierce has been doing next to Pittman? I know having issues with Jonathan Taylor staying on the field, but I think the Colts are interesting to talk about at the moment. Do you guys feel the same?
No.
You know what? No, I mean,
no. Okay.
I'm going to be real quick with my take here because I got to be honest with you. I've tried to have somewhat of an opinion about every team that we're talking about today. I got nothing on the Colts because I can't figure out who they are. Like, they are so back and forth between playing great and then playing terrible, like being able to convert when they need to versus being not able to do anything at all. Like, the defense plays great one week, they play terrible the next week. Like, do the Colts know who they are? Because I can't figure it out watching them. And I'm going to say that I'm just going to blank on this one and tell you guys, I think we just need to see more from the Colts, because a couple weeks ago, I was ready to call Matt Ryan a bust. And then he has his best game of the year against a team that he lost to 24-0 just 4 weeks ago. So, I mean, I have no clue. I mean, if y'all feel more informed than me, I'm going to cede the floor to y'all on this one.
Desmond, as you know, we've been in this for 5 weeks now?
6, but yeah.
6 weeks? Okay, 6 weeks. And it's been an even split with me picking these lose. So you know more often how I feel about if this is an interesting conversation. No, it's not. So I'm going to just keep it short and sweet.
Tell me why.
In the Colts.
You want to, Kev?
Yeah, little hot take here. Colts would have been better off with Wentz.
Facts.
No.
I agree.
Facts.
I agree,
Colts,
actually.
Colts
Yeah.
Facts. And the Commanders would have been better off with
Taylor
Matt Ryan.
Heineke.
With a blind woman, jeez.
With Mr. Trubisky.
Maybe.
Like
I did that.
They almost made the playoffs in year one last year. And you think about it, if the Colts add a wide receiver here, which they did, Alec Pierce, they don't give up picks to get Matt Ryan. They don't trade away that cap space. They're in a better position with Carson Wentz in year 2 in the system than they are with Matt Ryan in year 1.
Where's JT?
On the injury report.
Okay. That's why they're trash right now. Jonathan Taylor is why they made the playoffs last year.
I mean, I watched every minute of that brutal Broncos Colts
playoffs.
game a week
They
ago.
made the, who made the wait?
They didn't make the playoffs last year.
So wait, he said that they made the playoff. Who was he talking about? Who?
So they were close to the playoffs.
Yeah, they lost because of the Wentz.
So getting close to the playoffs was Jonathan Taylor. Them not doing anything right now is because Taylor's hurt. If Taylor was hurt, every pick that I picked the Colts for, I would have won on. That's a fact.
God.
That's a fact because Matt Ryan, while he is wishy-washy, he still had the best offense in league history at one point. You have to give him that.
I don't know. I'm gonna wait to see your picks this week then, Bars. We'll see if you get in the top 10 again.
Bars, I know you're bullish on Matt Ryan's pass, but that was an aberration year when the division was down and he had all-time, he had two powerhouse backs and a ton of receivers. I'm looking at this game. I'm kind of along Desmond's lines. I don't know what the hell to make of the Colts because I was way bullish and bigger on the Colts. I had them like as a 12-13 win team winning the division running away because I thought the Titans were having a down year. But this game, in my opinion, just saved their season only simply because they looked so bad the first 5 weeks of the season. And I don't know what to make of them because 1 week they're a powerhouse running team and then the next week they're throwing it for 350 plus yards. So I think like this game just merely saved their season, but I still have no idea what to make of them.
This game did not save their season. Only 2 words with their season. Jonathan Taylor. I'm done.
All right, moving on with that. And then Jacksonville. I think the record play is not reflecting on the potential of that team. Do you feel the same way too?
I feel sorry for Trevor Lawrence, to be honest. That's what I do. I won't lie to you. I feel sorry for Trevor Lawrence because this is supposed to be his all right, guys, this is what I can do. And he started off good, then fell off. So
I'd like to point out going into the 2021 NFL draft, a lot of people, everyone said that if the Jets got the first overall pick, Trevor Lawrence should go back to college. Shouldn't want to play for that trash, terrible organization. And then he went and played for Urban Meyer last year. And I mean, they're obviously looking better this year. But I mean, clearly, I would say the Jets have a better culture and brighter future via the draft and their coaching staff. So everyone wanted to say, LOL, Jets, get Trevor Lawrence out of there. Don't let him go play there. But I think he's being wasted the way, like people said, the Jets wasted talents for year. I think he's being wasted there. And I think I love Doug Peterson as coach, but I think unless they can turn around with the talent there, I don't see Trevor Lawrence truly turning it around to being what everyone thought he would be.
Let the record show that it's not because he's a fan that's accurate. It's because it's accurate that's accurate.
I'm going to save my thoughts about the Jaguars for the end of the episode because they're going to be featured in one of my picks.
All right.
Oh boy.
New Orleans blows a late lead. Andy Dalton couldn't have them score in the final two possessions. They really miss Olave, Landry, and Thomas. It looks like Andy Dalton also lost his starting job as a result of this game, and Jameis Winston is going to come back. Joe Burrow leads a big comeback on the road, connecting with Jamar Chase at the end. Bengals making the most of this one. I think this is a real tough pill to swallow for New Orleans, especially in this game. Credit to Cincinnati coming back to win, but damn, New Orleans, a team that has been a roller coaster, to say the least. Oh, how do we feel about Andy Dalton screwing this one up?
In typical Andy Dalton fashion.
Even though, like I said, he did not have his 3 best receivers, but it's still a tough one for him.
My advice to New Orleans is keep losing games. Generational quarterback draft, lose some games, go get a quarterback. Your roster is built. I mean, you have a stout defense. You have Alvin Kamara. You have a good offensive line. Keep losing games. Let Taysom Hill start the rest of the year if you want to. Lose games.
Yeah, I like this idea. Because I got to agree. I'm looking at their schedule. The next 6 or 7 games, they're all brutal. I mean, they might lose all of them. And honestly, if we were to be fair to Andy Dalton, though, for a second, if you tell me that an Andy Dalton-led offense is going to score 26 points and that you have a good defense, I'm taking that every single game. So the fact that the Saints lost this game at home, throw that on that Saints defense that's supposed to be so good against a struggling Cincinnati offense right now.
Oh, yes.
Because I'm telling you, 26 points with Andy Dalton at the helm at home with a good defense, you should win that game every time. The end.
Did Lattimore get hurt?
I'm not sure.
I don't believe so. No.
Nah. Okay, look. The problem here is that Saints defense, like Desmond said, so good. Like, they should have never let that go down. It should have been a tighter, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just me, but I wouldn't have let that slide. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I was Cam Jordan, I would have stepped up. I'd have been trying to be more aggressive. Anybody, DeMario Davis, I'd have went hard, bro. Listen, you got to give it to the Bengals. Like, at the end of the day.
Yeah, Bengals stepped up and made plays when they needed to. Bengals are another team that I'm just not sure about this season. You know, on the theme of talking about what we do or do not know about teams, I have no idea what the Bengals are this year. They feel so up and down. I got the Bengals right now missing the playoffs.
I would agree.
Oh, for you.
Wow.
I got them making the playoffs. Y'all got the New England making the playoff. I got the Bengals making the playoffs.
I think the Bengals just do not look cohesive. They are too inconsistent, and you can't be a playoff team in a stacked AFC if you can't be consistent week in and week out. And they don't have an easy schedule either.
I'm not as down on them. I think this is more of a hangover year. I still have them cleaning up that division, but I definitely have concerns about Cincinnati and their cohesion. Especially playing from behind in these games. You don't want to be in shootouts with a lot of teams, particularly with better quarterbacks than Andy Dalton. I thought that Kamara had a tremendous bounce back game. He had 20 for 100 yards, and and New Orleans got to the quarterback. I mean, he had 3 sacks. He had 3 sacks on the quarterback on Burrow, and they kept it pretty close. They actually won time of possession. They were 8 of 17 on third down. New Orleans. I mean, sorry. They were 6 of 10 on third down with Cincinnati. So for me, it's just like with Cincinnati, they need to get back to playing with a lead and keeping these games under control, because I feel like they're digging themselves out of holes they don't need to put themselves in.
It's definitely much easier to play with the lead. I'll give you that.
That's a fact. And you got to look at it. You just got to listen. You're just not going to win 17-32 with 162 yards, bro. You're just not going to win. Like, it's just not going to fucking happen. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, Kamara, yeah, he had 19 carries, 99 yards. That's like 5 yards a carry from like Alvin Kamara, who's like a beast. Come on, like you got to look at it. That defense allowed Joe Burrow to throw 100 yards still. Like, it's just madness. Jamar Chase had 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Absolutely clutch.
7 receptions for 132 yards. What are we doing out here? Like, you gotta, like, I really feel like this was the game for the Bengals to be like, all right, yeah, we've been winning, like, yeah, whatever, but we're 3-3 now. Like, if they didn't win this game, they would have been bad below 5. They would have been below 500 bad. So it would have been like, you know what I'm saying? And then now they're playing catch up for the season. So this game right here was that game for the Bengals. It is like, yeah, we're still alive. We're still here. Jamar Chase, I'm still out here catching balls. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the game for that for me. Like, you're not going to win with 162 yards and 14 kick points. Like 14 points off kicks, bro. Like, you're just not going to win unless you're fucking Tom Brady, bro. Like, you're just not winning.
What a time, right? The Rams get a much-needed win. Panthers seem to still be in shambles even after their coach firing. I mean, the new coach literally ejected Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson gets traded to Arizona 24 hours later. Who else is leaving the Panthers at this point? We're going to see DJ Moore go probably. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey. I think this is a game. I mean, what else? What is there to talk about the Rams? Obviously, They still have their wide receiver problems. They still have their line problems. Matt Stafford isn't playing like an all-pro. So I don't think there's much really to elaborate on that. But for the Panthers, who are really turning into an absolute shitstorm of a franchise in all of sports, how embarrassing is this for the Panthers franchise, where they're not even selling out their games anymore?
It's not embarrassing if you really ask me. And to be honest, it's more embarrassing. It's not. It's the fucking Panthers. Like, they haven't been good since they flopped in the Super Bowl, and no one's said anything about it. Christian McCaffrey's always freaking hurt, so it's like, what are we really gonna do about that? And if anyone's really should be like ashamed or like be like, damn, what are we doing? It should be the Rams. You guys are the defending Super Bowl champions. You have offensive line issues, and apparently you have wide receiver issues. You need to fix those up. I don't know how it goes, but when you win, don't you get a little bit of money? Hey, listen, they need to solid that up. But losing a veteran on the offensive line is very huge. It's big. Like, and the veteran that they lost played for them for like fucking ever. So it's like, you got to look at it like they have the most to lose right now, the Rams. But both teams are in desperate need of this win. And Baker Mayfield has a habit of getting head coaches fired. I'm just gonna leave that out there.
It looks like his career definitely died in
So Matthew and I actually had an argument about this week and a half, 2 weeks ago, with another friend of ours, Teddy. Our friend Teddy and I believe that Sean McVay is an overrated coach.
Yes, that's what he has to.
I agree.
I think he's been handed insane rosters every year, and now he doesn't have the wide receiver arsenal that he's had in the past. He's lost offensive line, and he doesn't have the run game that he has. Cam Akers isn't the same guy, and you look at it, they're not winning games the same way.
Without Whitworth, without that old man, bro, y'all is getting like y'all. I say y'all. LA getting destroyed every time. Matthew Stafford is looking like a deer. He's looking like Carson Wentz after Carson Wentz came back from his injury. Like, which way did he go? Like barely getting the ball off sometimes. It's madness. Like, but what can you do? The man was aged. He's a veteran. He knew how to protect the quarterback. Now you have to pick from probably some young guys, rotate pieces, grab some guys who probably weren't even that good. Like, ain't nobody letting go of their offensive line. Like, there are very few good offensive linemen that you can stand out in the league. They're like, you know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody letting them go. So the LA got a problem this year. And like you said, Sean McVay handed extremely good rosters. And they've been like, hey, play ball. And he's been to 2 Super Bowls. Outside of that?
I think another issue is that, if Stafford only plays another year or two, what's that team going to do? They have no first-round picks.
They did go all in, just going on hopes and dreams, I guess.
Like Les Snead said, fuck them picks. Congratulations. You have, Matt Stafford's in his mid to late 30s.
Yeah, 36.
Who knows how long he's going to keep playing. And when he's gone, how are you going to get a quarterback? You're gonna bring someone in. You're gonna trade some more picks the rest of your future. I don't think McVay's there much longer. I'm surprised. I actually thought that he might retire and go into broadcasting after the Super Bowl, which a lot of people, thought he might do, because there's no future with that team. That team is almost completely aged veterans, and you have to hope that you can milk another Super Bowl run or two out of Matt Stafford in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
You guys are really down on the future of the Rams. I don't know. I think I'm gonna slide in here, bring up the 2-person conversation real quick. I don't know, man. As an Eagles fan, I waited my whole life to get that 1 Super Bowl. So, I mean, if you tell me that you're going to mortgage your next 5 years to get a Super Bowl, I'll take that every time. Like, if you told me right now, we're going to sell out to get the Super Bowl this year and then we get it, but we're going to suck the next 4 years, I'm taking it. easily, no problem
fact.
whatsoever.
Oh.
So I mean, like, and the NFL is the ultimate like rebuilder of franchises with the draft system, how it works. You know, parity is a big thing. So yeah, you can blow up your whole team and then rebuild through the draft. Obviously, it's going to take longer for the Rams because they gave away so many of their picks, but they'll eventually be back. Yeah, they're not great right now. They're not. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, if you look at next gen stats, for instance, they track like receivers' ability to get separation off the defenders. Like, no one but Cooper Kupp is actually in the top 25 in the league for them. I mean, Allen Robinson, in fact, is like one of the worst wide receivers in the league for actually getting separation from the person defending him. And then Skoranek is some dude you just met this year. Tyler Higbee's never been a great tight end, but he's okay. He's just mid. And then Cam Akers is now leaving the team because he's not having any gelling with that offense. Plus, he's coming off an Achilles injury, which he's a running back. Come on now. So, I mean, their whole team is just kind of whack right now. I mean, and they can't compete in a tough division. Yeah, the Rams are not good this year. The Rams will not make the playoffs this year.
No, I don't disagree with you because I would probably sell my firstborn for the Jets to win a Super Bowl. So I don't disagree with that take at all. What I'm just saying is that I don't think McVay is this amazing genius that everyone claims he is. I still think he's a great coach. I just don't think he's, the guy people say he is. And B, that, in 3 years, this Rams franchise is going to be bad for a very long time. I'm talking Jets bad for a while. I'm talking Lions bad for a while.
It's the fans don't like them now anyway. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter to them. I mean, how sad is it to be a Rams or a Chargers player when you have to play 17 away games every year? I feel for these people.
Like Desmond said, like, I think like their whole heart, like the heart of their franchise is still in St. Louis anyway. And I think that this team in this league is really only built for a few years at a time. Even when you have the cards stacked in your favor, I think the only like testament of like a team that is kind of defying those odds in terms of longevity and how they're being able to stretch the maximum capacity is the Chiefs, and that's why they mortgaged Tyreek Hill out. They sold him out because they wanted the picks. They wanted to secure that offensive line and extend this dynasty. But many of these teams aren't built for that, just with injuries and the transients of these contracts. So, and particularly in LA, where you have to drum up support for a city that has so many other things going on. So I think that with this team in particular, you can only hope to squeeze maybe one more playoff run, a deep playoff run to the Super Bowl. But they don't look like they have a bright future, and it's a lot because of the draft picks and the injuries they've allocated with these older players. So it's a lot of things.
That's a really great point on the Chiefs. The Chiefs are doing a lot of what Bill Belichick did in New England.
Yeah,
player gets super good, wants to get paid. All right, ship him off for a first, second, whatever, and then go get someone in the draft who can replace him, hopefully. And I think the Chiefs are doing a great job of that. And that's a really good point on to why they're good year in and year out.
Yeah.
Right. So I think this was definitely a whimper of a game. Just 2 more matchups to go. Not
that was my whimper.
Yes, it was. So not a lot of scoring, miss points after.
Point after touchdowns.
Yes, miss extra points, lots of penalties, yet the Seahawks win another one. Geno doesn't throw a touchdown, but keeps the Seahawks in it. Walker has another standout game and a game-winning touchdown. Again, Desmond, you gave him praise last week. They lose Hollywood Brown, but next week, Arizona gets both DeAndre Hopkins and Robbie Anderson now in the trade with Carolina. So I think this Kyler Murray debate was a little earlier than it needed to be. But if you need to bring it now, I think first with these 2 matchups, is Arizona going to be significantly improving after another embarrassing loss? But now you add DeAndre Hopkins, who, if he's as good as he used to be in Houston, he had an up and down year last year in his first year in Arizona. But if he's DeAndre Hopkins and Robbie Anderson was what he was like on the Jets toward the end of his Jets career, can this salvage and make Kyler Murray look good? And can it make the Arizona Cardinals competitive?
My first question is, how many weekends for the rest of the year does Call of Duty have double XP?
I heard about this.
I've heard about this too.
I think it's 2-42 on weekends that have double XP.
Man,
Yeah, it's wild. Like
That's what a
so
stat.
wild.
And I mean, modern the new there, or I don't
It's
know if
coming
they
out next
did
week.
Modern Warfare 2 or whatever. It's coming out now. They had to put a clause in his contract for him to watch film. I mean,
and it's really affected him, huh?
Kyler Murray is that guy. He's Jamarcus Russell, who's been good. I mean, that's what I can say. Guy who doesn't care about football. He's not watching film clearly. He's not doing the right things. And the only reason he's winning and gets wins is because his athleticism and his natural talent bails him out a lot. And I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is a good coach either. I think this was a marriage destined to fail. And I think Arizona's going to end up blowing it up in a year or two here. They're going to get rid of Kingsbury. They're going to give Kyler 1 year with another coach. And if he doesn't do it, Kyler's gone.
Kingsbury's a bum. Kyler Murray is definitely overrated. Anyone who takes their side job more seriously than their real job should not be considered professional. It's just what it is. Like Kyler Murray lacks that. He lacks the professionalism that it takes to be a quarterback. Like if it has to be in your contract to fucking do your job, we got a problem, bro. And if people gotta come out and bitch about it, we definitely got a problem. Because obviously Kyler Murray was like, hey, Call of Duty's more important than studying on my Sunday night game, or my Sunday, or my Monday or my Thursday. I don't understand what goes on through his head, but it is what it is.
Well, I know that was a concern going into the draft too, because he told everybody in the media that he wanted to play baseball first and foremost. So I think a lot of his focus was already bifurcated from the get-go. And I think you guys are all spot on about echoing the same point that Kyler seems to be only about halfway in, 1 foot in the pool. So I think that after this year, whether they make the playoffs or not, backing into the 7th seed, I think that they're going to pull back and they're going to have an assessment of Kingsbury first. And then they're going to have a 1 year of holding Kyler's feet to the fire with a new coach. And it's going to be up to him to, seal his fate, in the coming year to see how this team goes. But I think in the meantime, I'm not selling my stock on Arizona because I think that they're only as good. Their ceiling is the 7th seed in the NFC, in a weak NFC. But I think that D-Hop and Robbie Anderson will help that offense gel a little better. And I think that they have a few favorable games going forward.
The only reason that Kyler Murray's not playing baseball right now is a $25 million signing bonus as the number one overall pick. And if Aaron Judge gets a $300 million contract and Kyler Murray doesn't play well and gets traded from Arizona, gets cut, whatever, I could see him going to baseball.
I agree. I totally agree.
He definitely has a lot of time to do it.
I believe that they'd probably get rid of Kyler before they get rid of Kingsbury. But win or lose, Kingsbury's. That's just.
I think the Cardinals are the worst team in this division. I do not see them making the playoffs. As someone who lives out here in the West, I watch a lot of Cardinals games on national TV. And I mean, I have Zach Ertz on my fantasy team, and it feels like he only throws to Zach Ertz and this is the team that had Hollywood Brown on the team up until this week when he got injured. I know DeAndre Hopkins is about to come back in, but my point I'm trying to make is that Kyler doesn't really go through progressions. Like what you were saying, Kev, he just relies on his athleticism. He's just running around the pocket. And I don't think he's really kind of going through and trying to manipulate the defense with his eyes or trying to work through the different receivers who might be open. I don't think he knows the plays that well. I know
he's
that we
playing college ball in the pros.
Yeah, I think we want to blame the coach, and I'm sure the coach isn't that great. But Kyler on the field does not look like a quarterback who you can say that guy's winning a Super Bowl. I mean, he's got a lot of talent, so a lot of teams will keep giving him chances, but he's not elite. And I don't think the Cardinals are going to be elite. I don't see the Cardinals even making the playoffs this year. I think the Seahawks, the Niners, and even the Rams are all better than the Cardinals are.
Man, remember the Cardinals started 8-0? They started 8-0.
Well, I don't even think truthfully a lot of teams. I think if they're gonna move off of Kyler, if Arizona's gonna move off them, I think he only has one move, which is to go to baseball. Because truthfully, I don't think a lot of teams are buying what he's selling, because he's already an undersized guy. He's had injury history, and truthfully, he can't lead a team because he doesn't show commitment. So
yeah, what coach wants that?
right, exactly.
There's always one fool out there.
And
There's always one guy.
You don't need to be a crazy leader in baseball. Just go out and hit the ball.
I mean, Carson Wentz has got 3 jobs now. So I mean, let's not lie about teams willing to take a chance on somebody.
Carson Wentz always has heart. He's always been a leader. That's the difference.
You know, the NFL values talent over everything, though.
Yo,
I don't always agree with that. I mean, talented guys are always going to get a second shot. That I agree with. But there's always a spot for a guy on a team, whether it's as a backup. A locker room guy is always going to find a spot.
that's a fact.
I mean, you say that, but Antonio Brown keeps coming back to the NFL, and we know who he is.
Where is he at?
Again, I said the talented guys are going to get another shot, but there's always a spot. There's always a better spot for you if you're a locker room guy, I think.
Yeah, no, that's
There you go.
And
Final thought on this, and one more matchup.
the best question of the night, Matt. Like legit. Like I agree with Desmond. I agree with Alex. Like, but honestly, I wouldn't get rid of King right away. Yeah, he's subpar, but I'm not gonna get rid of my head coach for a guy who's got 1 foot on. You know.
What's the sell? What's the sell on Kingsbury? What does he offer besides Kyler? There's nothing.
Nothing. But
Just
what does
helping to build
Kyler
Mahomes.
offer?
But he had a shitty college record too. He has nothing to sell.
He has
He
a
coached
hot
Mahomes.
girlfriend.
That's it.
Hey,
yeah. I
so
mean, him having a
that's the
job in
case.
like Bieniemy and people like Leslie Frazier not having jobs. That's an indictment on the NFL.
bro, Lovie Smith has been jobless for God knows how long.
Well, he has
All
a
right.
job now.
Well, now
though.
he's back.
Where is he?
He's coaching the Texans.
Oh, bro, I didn't know.
It was just this year.
But yes, Lovie Smith was jobless for never. They gave Kingsbury that job over there in the Cardinals. They gave McVay the job over there in LA. Listen, all I'm saying is, like, probably get rid of them both at the same time. Then fuck it. Like,
Or they have to lose. Remember,
If I'm hiring a coach, I'm hiring Deion Jackson or Deion Sanders. I'm sorry.
Deion Sanders.
Hell yeah.
Good 60-minute story if you saw that this week.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great.
All right, final matchup, guys. Monday night, Broncos and the Chargers. Chargers win in overtime. Herbert, aka her bum, throws 57 passes, now 1 touchdown, and that's actually a record in the NFL. Broncos seem to legit be the laughing stock of the NFL, and there are teams record-wise that are worse than them. Nathaniel Hackett looks like a lost puppy out there. But Chargers still winning, but it's still frustrating for them. Really missing out on Keenan Allen, but it really seems like when I was watching it that it was just Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler against everybody else. Would have been nice maybe on the salty gambler side if I just needed 1 touchdown from Mike Williams, but that's for another day. But either or, Chargers still winning, but I still think that they still have some holes. And then, like I said, you're at the point where Russell Wilson's legacy's on the line at this point with how bad the Broncos have been. What's more fascinating to you, how the Chargers been playing out or the Broncos truly being the laughing stock across all sports?
I want to start this one off really quick.
Yes, sir.
First of all, I want to give props to you. You said this was the last game we're talking about, which tells me that we're not talking about the Commanders and Bears game. Shout out to you, the host, for giving us that grace to skip over that game.
Well, yes, that was intentional, actually. And I mean,
because that game was atrocious. So thank you for that one.
I wouldn't know that game.
This game was also atrocious. Yeah. And can we just let go of what Russell Wilson used to be and just accept him for who he is now?
That's why I'm saying, like, people think this might affect his Hall of Fame legacy at this point.
Carroll.
I mean, all questions are valid while you're still in the league. And the Chargers look like a team whose offense is struggling due to lots of injuries. And the Broncos are an offense who is struggling because their quarterback just cannot seem to run this offense. And that's not a sentence you should be able to say about a guy who's getting paid $250 million. The Broncos got fleeced. I think they need to just accept it. And they either need to find a new coach immediately who can adapt to the fact that Russell Wilson is on a major decline, or they need to get rid of Russell Wilson.
Well, it just came out. I actually, an hour ago, I was watching I guess 3 hours ago now, but Pat McAfee show. And they're talking with Sherman. They're talking with Marshawn Lynch. And basically they said Russ's team, not even him, his team would come in, team 3, and would say, Russ doesn't want to run these plays. And they would, and Carroll would cut plays from the playbook. And his teammates couldn't even get a hold of him, didn't have his personal phone number. They had to call team 3 to get a hold of him.
They hate him.
None of them liked him. Russ was horrible in the locker room. And he was able to, cut plays that were working, that they ran well. He was able to cut them because he didn't like running them. And Pete Carroll is the only reason that team did anything. Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll literally cut ties with Russell Wilson, knowing what Russ was going to do somewhere else, and knowing that he could go out and win games with Geno Smith. And I think Pete Carroll is a genius, and Russ is cooking up some garbage food right now there in Denver. And I don't think it's Nathaniel Hackett.
Killing him, and I've been loving every minute of it.
I do not think it's Nathaniel Hackett, and I think you're right. The Broncos got absolutely fleeced. I think Hackett could be a good coach in the NFL still.
Listen, the Broncos got fucking fleeced. Like Richard Sherman is coming on record several times stating how bad a quarterback Russell Wilson is. Several times. First of all, I'm running that ball in that Super Bowl. Ain't no way I'm ball. Ain't no way.
Lessons with bars.
Like that's it. Second of all, we're just gonna look at this. Matt, the fact that we both needed Mike Williams just to score.
Man, that's what we signed up for.
It hurts right here. And Herbert was like 20-something yards short of what I needed him for my parlay. Yeah, for my parlay. So like I love Herbert. Yeah, it is. But that defense, Pat Surtain, I was talking to my coworker, Pat Surtain, and I forget who the other guy is over there, but they did their job. They held Mike Williams down. Like they really did.
Broncos have a good defense. I mean, they prove that every week.
Like
except for those corners, because they had 10 penalties for 150 yards. I thought truthfully, like, no, I mean that sincerely. Like, I think the Denver defense actually is really good. I think they have a great, like mid-secondary and front four. I think that they just have a few miscues to clean up with their corners. But I thought this game was really exciting, like beginning to end. I thought that the Chargers defense was dominant early. They had 4 sacks for the game on Russell, and I think that if it wasn't for those penalties, I think Denver would have had a shot to win this game. But I can't refute anything you guys said about the frustrations along with Russell. I had far higher hopes. I was definitely duped in that camp, thinking that this team was going to be a little better. Now, with that being said, I thought they were going to be more of a run-heavy offense, but they lost their running back a few weeks back. So I definitely want to, have that caveat in my pocket. But I think that it's just going to take more time for this team to gel and get right. And I think that, like Kevin said, I think Nathaniel Hackett can coach. I think he's got to be able to kind of have a few weeks to just get this under control and be able to pivot.
I don't think Russ is done yet. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I don't think Russ is done yet. I think he's got a little bit more in the tank. Like he said, it's got to keep grinding. This game, they were actually leading for most of it. So you kind of got to look at that. Like Russ had a nice push down the field, though they didn't score, to take the lead right before halftime. So you got to look at it like they can click when they're clicking, but yeah, Russ maybe just not be it over there. He just may not.
I have 2 points to make. The first one is another Matthew, another one that I got roasted for in our group chat was I had Denver at 7-10 and the worst team in that division going into the year. And the other thing, Staley is not it in LA. Staley's not the guy. I mean, I know what weird
play calling that guy has
on the Broncos a lot,
yeah.
but Staley is not the guy. I mean, you have a very talented team, and the decisions you're making are putting them in bad spots. And I think Staley's got to go.
I agree.
I'm going to make one hot take for the record before we close this out. The Broncos will not win more than 3 more games for the remainder of the season.
Wow.
They will not have more than 5 wins when this season is over. I clip that. We'll come back later in the season. We'll see if you can dunk on me or not. But I'm willing to take that right now.
I want to put money on that.
Well, I mean, they're going to get blown out next week, so.
I want to put money on
it.
I mean, if you want to put money on it, you can. I'm calling it right now. They will not have more than 5 wins at the end of the season. I'm ready to say it right now.
7 wins.
Excellent
That's all I'm
takes,
giving them.
guys.
7 wins.
Before we get the picks, I do think there's this one quick story that has to be addressed. The NFL owners meeting was today, and there was a lot of drama taking place that could affect the future. I guess the one thing, it was reported that Dan Snyder, the owner of the Commanders, allegedly, if he was forced out and was forced to sell the Commanders, he was gonna throw a lot of dirt on a lot of NFL owners, which, quite frankly, probably is true. You know, these people in high places, they know stuff. So I didn't doubt this story. However, just reported an hour ago that the Commanders, Dan Snyder, sent the NFL owners a letter denying the damning report of defiance and threats to the rest of the league. You can read it.
Now.
You can read it if you want. I won't repeat it, even though it's short and brief. But, this is a real unique PR battle. I think it's fair to say that the Commanders' ownership is going to change hands within a few years, don't you think? And just one quick, and I definitely want to hear your point. And then after the fact, is he telling the truth? Is he just doing this for PR as a letter, or is he going to still let dirt out one way or the other? Kevin, you'll start with this one.
That letter came out 12 hours after a report came out that Jim Irsay said, Dan Snyder needs to go, and I think we have the votes.
Exactly. He was the first owner to actually acknowledge to get rid of him.
And owner of the Colts. To the media this morning, he said, Dan Snyder needs to go. I think we need to force him to sell, and I think we may have the votes.
All right.
I just want to make a really quick point about this.
Yeah.
I'm going to really, really smallly interject this with politics a little bit. The people who own these NFL teams, they are like 30 of the richest people in the country.
Right.
Politicians won't even mess with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, these dudes own the whole country, and one dude thinks he's going to mess with 30 other people and their money and their reputations and like their political standings here in America. That ain't happening. Like, the 30 of them ain't letting that happen. And so he's going to just take his like $3 or $4 billion he's going to get from selling the team and just go away quietly before they fuck him up.
He's going to end up with
what would happen.
Let me tell you something. He's already out there. That's why they're trying to get rid of him. You're looking at a man with nothing to lose. He's got nothing. He said, I'm about to air y'all boys out. He said, go ahead, play me. Try to kick me out. And
I mean, you know what these billionaires, you know what they own, right? They own everything. It's like, please.
But what does Dan Myers own? That's what we need to figure out. Once we figure out what he owns, then you figure out what the type of leverage he has, the type of pull he got. First of all, I do believe he has some kind of dirt on them. And I do believe sooner or later it will come out.
If it did come out, it'd be a massive mistake because he'd be hunted by 30 of the most powerful people in the country. I'd like just go away now.
He'd end up with Jimmy Hoffa.
Don't ever forget that he was amongst that 30.
He should just take his money and just like go into retirement and don't do anything stupid.
Don't ever forget he's amongst that 30. He got money too. Like, don't ever forget that. The question is, which one of them is he richer than? That's the question.
None of them.
And those are the
he's like the least.
Those are the ones that. Those are the ones.
Too.
Yeah.
Listen, they came to the. I heard everything he said. They came to a deal. A deal was made. They're like, you can stay the owner for now, but we're gonna take you out.
Washington's trying to build a new stadium right now, and Arthur Blank is the owner of Home Depot. He could probably go to him right now. They're like, listen, I'm not giving you any wood to build this new stadium, bro. You need to get the fuck out.
That's
right.
They're like, we'll give you a new stadium if you step down, my man, and we'll build it for free. I guarantee you. They're making deals right now. Listen, the only reason he would say that and then recant his statement is because the deal was made.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Think about it. Let's get legal on it.
it's gonna be a cool story to see. And then if you care, definitely talked about protecting quarterbacks and officiating issues. And apparently Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft had a little scuffle. Don't fuck with me, Jerry Jones told Robert Kraft in today's meetings. For the second time in 5 years, more issues about the compensation for Goodell. I mean, I have to do more research on that, but
You better chill out.
Is that
His
confirmed?
pacemaker stopped working.
no, this is a Twitter. This is from ESPN from Seth Wixer, Sam. Reported just about an hour ago.
That Jerry Jones told Robert Kraft not to fuck with him.
Yeah, and this
From
was
like
over,
a reliable source. That's crazy.
This is reported on ESPN right here, and it was over Roger Goodell's contract discussion.
Listen, Jerry better chill out because Robert Kraft owns 1/5 of the food distribution.
Jerry Jones is the oil guy.
Wow.
That's a good
For
one.
shortages happen in his area.
Oh yeah. See, listen. Jerry, like Matt said, Jerry Jones owns the oil, so he can't run his trucks, can't run any of his machinery without that oil. So
there you go. Those are two powerhouses that Dan Myers don't want to get involved with. There we go.
Man, I love a good rich people drama. All right, gentlemen. Let's do these picks real quick. Upsets, whimpers, and thrillers. I explained to you, Kevin, how it works. Bars as well. Pick your upset of the week and a quick explanation. Make it funny. I'll throw it to Desmond to start it off because he hit it last week.
You're gonna make me go first? Okay, what are we doing? Upsets, whimpers, or
we'll start
which
with
one are we doing
upsets.
first?
We'll start with the upsets.
All right, I'm gonna go 2 then. I did 2 last week. I'm doing 2 this week. I'm gonna keep a train going here. The Lions will beat the Cowboys this week.
Ooh, I like that upset. That's
all right,
serious.
And I also have the Jaguars beating the Giants this week.
Hey, same here. Well, I just have the Jaguars beating the Giants, and they're gonna definitely take that. Definitely take the underdog on that one.
Jags opened as favorites though.
Yeah, but I'm looking at 2-14 versus a 5-1 team. That's in my mind, that's an upset.
Oh, I got Cleveland going into Baltimore and taking a win off of the Ravens. I think that they're in a slump right now and they got a lot of shit to figure out. I think Cleveland's playing with house money and they're gonna run it down their throat.
I also have Cleveland going into Baltimore and taking a win. I think Chubb's gonna run angry. I'm looking at a 120, 130 yard game from him. And I think Cleveland goes in there, and I think that that AFC North is going to keep getting murkier and murkier.
Yeah, 100%.
Can I just go on record saying this is the shittiest schedules of all NFL seasons because I'm just looking at these games: Texans, Raiders.
Yes, week 7 is a tough week. Lots of whimpers.
It's gonna be great for pick'ems.
Yeah. All right.
I can't wait. Make my picks tonight.
I'm gonna pick the craziest upset of them all: Panthers Bucks.
That's hilarious.
And do they even have a quarterback?
Like
no,
Desmond?
What's that? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Not yet. They haven't announced yet.
Like Desmond, I'm a train guy, so I'm a double it up too, right?
All right. Hey, it's a division game. You never know. Division games are unpredictable.
I'm gonna go with Bears. And I'm gonna say that the Bears are gonna stifle that Patriots defense offense. That's what I'm gonna go with. Those are my up. And then what I need a thriller.
Yeah,
I think we're doing them all in a row.
Yeah, exactly. But Kevin, did you have one last point?
Because Baker's hurt, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
PJ Walker's hurt.
Yep.
Is Sam Darnold off the IR yet?
Not officially.
I think Christian
McCaffrey's
throwing the ball.
Matt Corral. Do they have anyone to play quarterback for them this week?
Whoever played last week. They didn't have Baker Mayfield last week either.
Wait, are we all going to forget when the Broncos had no quarterback and Melvin Gordon was quarterback?
Oh no, it was the wide receiver.
It was a wide receiver, but
yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure they have someone who can play quarterback for him, but that's a bold pick there with no quarterback.
Go
Okay.
get
Picking the
Exactly.
Steelers to beat the
So-
Bucks last week was a bold
Matter of
pick,
fact,
but,
that's my
know.
thriller upset. That's my thriller upset right there.
What a combo. All right, for the Whimpers, this is which game you think is gonna suck. And I think definitely week 7 has a lot of them. We'll
Yes.
start with Desmond on this one.
yeah, Sunday night game, Steelers Dolphins. It's gonna be trash.
Fuck you.
I'm keeping it nice and sweet this week. I'm not gonna go into super analysis. I know that we've already been here for a minute, but yeah, Steelers Dolphins will be a trash game. Neither team will score 20 points.
We'll go with the under on that. Packers over the Commanders.
Ouch.
With the Packers laying the points at 5.5. I think for one team that can't get out of their own way and another team who's trying to get out of their own way, I think it's a funny combination. And imagine if Taylor Heineke comes in and beats Aaron Rodgers and he announces his retirement in the middle of the season. Aaron Rodgers. I admit I was high on him, and it looks like that's an inaccurate prediction.
He'll be hosting Jeopardy by week 10.
Oh man, what a joke!
Yeah, okay.
What a joke!
I have
Okay.
Titans Colts.
Oh my God.
At 2.5.
I think that game is going to be unwatchable. I think it's going to be. I don't know. Taylor's not back, is he?
No,
No,
not yet.
I don't think
Still
so, no.
not
No.
back.
So it's going to be Naeem Hines versus Derrick Henry, and they're going to score like 15 total points the whole game, and it's just going to be unwatchable football.
Jets.
I'm taking the Bears Patriots game. I think it'll probably just be like a lopsided coaching battle, but it's going to be a shitty game.
Jets Broncos.
That's Broncos are gonna suck, bars.
I mean,
Are there any
I
games
was
left?
gonna pick that, to be honest with you,
Jets are going to put up 40
I'm
points on the Broncos.
because the Broncos have a good defense, so they're gonna keep the Jets offense in check, and then the
And the
Broncos
Jets
can't
have-
score. So
The
I
Broncos,
mean,
exactly. It evens
it's gonna
out.
be like a 17-16 or like 9-6, or it's gonna be one of those.
Jets are going to blow them out. I think
bro.
you guys are bugging here.
Bro,
We'll find.
let me
Hey,
just,
no, keep
bro.
receipts because we'll talk about it in the next episode.
bro, we're talking about these picks, but let me just read off these games, man. Saints.
Man, we're
Cardinals.
good bars on that.
No,
I
man,
know.
you try to read off the roster earlier. No,
We're
man.
good on that. All right, last one.
Bro.
Which games of this messy schedule? Which one do you think will be a thriller? I actually, sorry, you go with this one, Desmond. Which game's gonna be special?
Falcons, Bengals,
Yeah.
100%. I think that's going to be the high scoring game. I think both teams score more than 24. I'm thinking like a 31-27 type of a game.
Mhm.
Okay. If you don't mind, I'm gonna take Kansas City, San Francisco.
Ooh,
think
I was
that's,
thinking about that.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be similar. I think it's gonna be kind of a shootout, and it'll probably come down to one or two big defensive plays at the end of the game.
Giants, Jags, baby.
Good one.
Okay, all right.
Lions, Cowboys.
I was gonna say that one. The 1-4 Lions versus
That's
the
not a bad
4-2
move.
Cowboys.
Listen,
That's not a
Listen,
bad
Cowboy-
one.
Bye.
Cowboy, you have. I'm not sure they're going to rush Dak back, but you have good offenses on both sides. I mean, if the Lions and you have the Lions as your upset, if the Lions can beat that Cowboys defense, it could be a 25 to or 24 to 30 game, something like that. I mean, I love that, and you have DeAndre Swift back, you have Amon-Ra St. Brown back. And that offense has been humming, and the defense has sucked. So I think that could be a very high scoring game.
I love Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, I love this guy.
he's pretty good.
I drafted
he is
him in the
great.
5th round.
He is great. I'm all
Like
about
any
it.
guy
A lot
with
of
four.
fun ones.
Bro,
I got Amon-Ra in the 5th, and I got Jalen Hurts in the 7th.
bro, if we still had Big Ben and Big Ben playing in like optimal Big Ben, like y'all would be saying the same thing with Pickens. Pickens is like right
I
now.
love NFL young boy.
Oh man, me
That's
too.
my dude,
Me
like-
too. All right, gentlemen. I know it was a long one. Thank you for your patience with it. A lot of fun as always. And we'll come up with some cool ideas to make it even more entertaining for next week. So that's Desmond Price, Alex Ranelio, Bars the God, Kevin Schaefer. Thank you, gentlemen. I'll see you in a week. Let's have some good football.
Have a good
Um,
one, guys.
Wait.
One more thing. What?
It's always good to hang out with y'all boys, man. It's been a while since I've been here. Thank y'all for having me. I know I showed up a little late. Thank you guys. Alex, it's always a pleasure. Desmond, it's a pleasure. It's nice meeting you, Big Cam.
Nice to meet you.
Matt, thank you.
Much love, guys. Enjoy baseball this weekend too. See ya.
Cheers.